Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ascension Board of Adjustment is now called to order. My name is James Cecil, Chairman. Roll call members right now: Mr. Brad Walker,
Yep.
Mrs. Kathy Desideer,
Here.
Mr. Harold Dalton,
Here.
Mr. Bryce Cox,
Here.
and Vice Chairman Alvin Madere, who is absent from this proceedings tonight. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up public comment. If you're here tonight for a particular item on the agenda, this is now not to comment, okay? I see those smiles going, okay, I don't have to do that. What this is to help out this board. If you have anything with this board that you would like to share with to help us promote a better and more efficiently board, this is your opportunity. You can say how bad we are, you can say how good we are, and I don't think we're going to get either one of those. So if no one has anything else to say, we'll move on with our agenda. I'd like to have the acceptance of the minutes for July 25th of 2006. Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, is that included in the one that I brought to your attention? For
Yes, sir.
1537.06, wherein it says the motion was made by myself, seconded by by Kathy, to accept the variance, and in the notes at the bottom, it speaks to 3 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, and the motion was denied. Should that not read, the motion was carried?
The motion was carried. That's correct. Ms. June, can we make this correction, please, ma'am? Is there any other issues with the minutes from last month? Anyone?
I have none.
Once that's made, then we'll go ahead and accept those minutes. Is that what you're?
That is my motion, sir.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. We'll move on with the acceptance of the written decisions of July the 25th of 2006.
Well, I move they be accepted with the modification necessary.
I think the modification is made on the written decisions, but we're not made on the minutes. If you check that for me, please.
Something's not right. 1537. I don't have 1537 in the written.
We'll have these proceedings continue on. We're going to go ahead and have Ms. June check those also, and then we'll go ahead and accept them at that time.
Sure.
Is that fine with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Need a second on that?
Second.
Okay, moving right along. Ms. June, in our packet, we did not have that written decision in our packet. If you can make that correction, if you have to make that correction, if you make that correction, then we'll accept them at that time. Would that be fine with you? Thank you, ma'am. All right, well, going to have the public hearing for a zoning review, ID number 1568.06, located on the north side of Bayou Narcisse Road, approximately 175 feet west of John Lambert Road. And this is for Amy Welderstadt. Sorry if I crucified your name there. You her?
Yes.
Could you come up and approach, please? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is there an extra copy? I don't have that in my packet.
Ms. June, do you have an extra copy of this? Also, the first one, that is 1568.06.
It wasn't in my packet, Ms. June. The only one I was missing. Yeah, I can still check. I have all this. Thank you.
Go ahead, ma'am. I apologize for the problem there.
That's okay. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say. I would just like to open a daycare on Bayou Narcisse, address 41444. I have a total of 893 feet, and it can hold 25 children.
At this time, I'd like to go ahead and open up public hearing. I think that everybody, or not in case you got a question. Mr. Walker, you got a question? I'm going to go ahead and open up public hearing. Go ahead.
So moved.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody would like to speak in favor or against this young lady's request, please come up, sign in. The sign-in sheet is on the corner of the table, and state whether for or against her request. No one? Okay, close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Public hearing is now closed. Does anybody from the board have any questions?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
This lady said something about 800 square feet, wherein the application, as I read it, says an existing home of 1748, and the maximum for the medium intensity is 1,500. Variance requested is 248 feet. None of that mentions 800 feet.
Yes, sir. The fire marshal says that I can only count the areas where I can keep children, excluding the bathroom, the laundry room, and the kitchen.
That's where she got it.
Well, notwithstanding what the fire marshal has told you, what's your request before this board tonight?
To be able to open up a daycare in that area, in that location.
Utilizing the full 1,748 feet?
At this time, yes.
Okay. So that just...
So your request is for the 248 extra feet over the 1,500 maximum allowed. Is that correct?
No, sir. My request is to get approval to open the daycare. It's now a residence, but I'm planning on moving out and going up to code with it for a daycare.
For that, okay. But I guess. I mean, we don't have the authority to tell you can open up a daycare center, but you're wanting to open it up in the full 1,748 square feet of the house, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Utilize
sir.
all of that for your daycare center.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
So we're asking for, she's asking for 248 additional square feet is what she's asking for. Any further questions? Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that this variance request be approved and that it's minimal in nature. Though it's commercial, it is something that is desirable in a residential area. Will have minimal impact on the other properties. So for that reason, I recommend this be approved.
I'd like to second that and just like to add that it's consistent with what we've done with other daycares in the past few months.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept as written. Do we have any objections? So moved. Variance is granted, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is ID number 1555.06, Lot 10, Oak Grove Courtyard for Ronald Arsenault. It's located on the south side of Oak Court, approximately 100 feet west of Grove Drive. Come on up, sir, and sign in, please.
Sign in here.
Yeah, just sign in. Everybody got that one?
I've got the rest of it.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm asking for a variance on Lot 10 on Grove Drive there. The home that I plan to build is on the property line. The developer has moved, has added additional property back there and said there's servitude for the right-of-way back there, an additional right at 20 feet, a little less than 20 feet, not including to the bulkhead, not including the canal that's back there. And it's my understanding that the property actually goes beyond the canal. So I'm wanting to build that home to the property line. That was my understanding when I bought the property. Apparently he made a mistake, and it says that here on my plot. in his handwriting, not, you know,
Understand,
not
yes, sir.
from, and I've had the home plot, I have a plot of the home that I plan to build, and I'd taken some pictures. I thought maybe I sent those in. I don't know if you guys have those.
Are these the pictures?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
Let's open up public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody would like to speak in favor of or against this gentleman's request, please sign in and approach the bench. No one? All right, close public hearing, please. Public hearing is now closed. Does any board member have any questions, comments? Mr. Cox?
Yeah, this is not going to, there's a drain servitude that cuts across the corner of that property I'm looking at, and it's not going to interfere with that at all, is it?
Oh, no, sir. That's, I believe there's a sewer head there. That's, the house is not going to be, nor the driveway on that sewer head. That's to the right of the property.
Okay. Because it's showing a 40-foot drain servitude back there that looked like it was coming right up to the...
Okay, in the back of the property, there's a pond, and then there is a drainage canal. So we've got a bulkhead. Johnny Carlin is the developer. He had added a full bulkhead for that drainage servitude, and I'm measuring from the bulkhead. That drainage servitude is still there, not going to be interfered with at all.
Okay.
And we have about 18, almost 19 feet of property from the bulkhead from where I'm going to actually build at. So there's plenty of servitude and right of way back there of land, including the drainage as well.
Sir, when you say the bulkhead,
Yes, sir.
on this final plat of the Oak Grove courtyard, are you referring to the item marked approximate location, top of bank?
I don't think I have. I've got the plot.
Well, if it would help, I'll be glad to share with you what we have in our packet.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. Approximate location, top of bulkhead. Yes, sir. That would be the top of the...
So if I understood you correctly, you're telling me that there's how many feet from that point, the top of the bank or the bulkhead, to where your structure will lie?
Just a little over 18 feet for the first corner of the house.
Well, then if that being the case, why are you requesting a variance of 18.6 feet?
They're telling me, it's my understanding when I went in for permit, that I have to be 20 feet off of the property line.
My question is then, why isn't the variance like 18.3 feet or something like that? If you have 18 feet to almost to the structure, and you need 20 feet because that's the property line setback,
Right.
then it would seem to me you need like 2 feet versus 18 feet.
See, here's this property line. This is the property line. Not over here in the bulkhead. It's a common area. This is the property. That's a common area. Not bulkhead. So he would be 20 feet from here going out.
Okay, thank you.
He wants to build right up to the common area, basically.
Right.
Within a foot of it.
Yeah, within a foot of it, yeah. Any further discussions?
But I'm just, because of this map, it's not totally clear where that drainage servitude is, so I just want to make sure that we understand that if that drainage servitude is there, that he's not encroaching on that
Okay.
Or hanging over it.
or hanging over it.
No, sir. Not in
If any overhang or anything past your property line
No,
or right
sir.
at your property line, it cannot be over that drainage servitude, which looks like, by what I'm seeing here, it's a little confusing, but with what I'm seeing here, it looks like it could be right at the back of your property line right there. So just want to make sure you're clear on that.
You know, I do have that letter from the developer, so, I mean, I don't, you know, he's not going to, you know, him and I went out and discussed it. We've looked at it, and I should not be on any drainage servitude at all.
Well,
He's
the point
okay with
being
everything that we're doing there.
The point being is this board cannot grant a variance into a drainage servitude under any
understand.
conditions. That includes roof overhang.
Yes, sir, I understand. I have a plot of the home I'm going to build on the property, if that helps any.
Would you like to see the plot?
Yes, I would.
If you have a copy of that plot, then bring it forward, please, sir. Each board member would like to see that plot.
I'm sure. I'm just trying to figure out how to orient it on this.
You want him to come up and show the
Which
orientation?
way is north on this? It looks like it's this way. 8711. Okay. I've got it
Should be,
oriented.
you got it, it should be right.
It's oriented this way, this being north is compared to this plat.
It's not a very. This is not.
I've got a full map as well, if you'd like to see that.
Sir?
I've got a full plot map as well, if you want to see that.
Can I see that, please?
Sure.
This one isn't clear on a couple.
I think it's been updated since then, but that kind of gives you a scope of the property.
It just doesn't show the structure on it.
This one kind of shows that servitude.
Yeah, it's back. In the map that you have, in this one right here, it shows it on.
Right,
This one does not show it's on.
right. That's what I was concerned about.
Right.
You may want to pass that down
Yeah.
and see it. It shows that drainage servitude a little bit different on it.
That's an updated map than you have right now.
I think the map that I just gave you
Property line, this is gone.
is not updated from what we have
60
here.
feet.
It's been updated since then. That's
One
an
you just
older
gave
one.
me is a newer one than
No,
that.
sir. It's an older one.
This is a newer one that we have here?
Plot I just gave you. No, that should be a newer one. The one I just gave you should be an older one.
Okay.
Take that back.
Well, let's see if there's a date on this thing. 8/5.
The date on this is 5/18/05.
Yeah, the one in our packet is 5/18/05. This one is 4/28/04, so this shouldn't even be here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you want to see this, it's over a year old than what we have in front of us.
Right.
Yeah, you can come back and get this.
It's not gonna be in servitude. No, servitude back property line.
Mr. Brad, you got any questions for him? Pass that down.
Put it back. He needs to see it.
Miss Kathy, do you have any questions?
No.
Public hearing is closed, by the way. You have any further questions? Scott? Okay. Okay, do we have a motion on the floor? Anybody want to make a motion?
We have the audience.
Yes. Public hearing. Public hearing's been open.
Okay.
No, you're correct. Public hearing has not been closed.
Yeah.
Anybody would like to speak in favor of or against this gentleman's request? No one? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Thank you, Ms. Kathy. Appreciate that.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variance because it's basically within the harmony and the scope of this board. I would caution that when that house is built, that you make sure that you know where the drainage servitude line is.
Yes, sir.
Because this map that I'm looking at looks like it's the back edge of that property, so I just want to make sure that you're aware of that and it doesn't lean over it. But I'll make a motion we accept the...
Contingent upon the fact that it does not impinge on any drainage servitude.
Right, right. Okay, I'll state that in the motion then. I'll make a motion we accept the variance as written, contingent upon the fact that he does not encroach upon any drainage servitude that is there.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that and would like to clarify that this drainage servitude encroachment shall include the overhang of any roof structure.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Contingent on the overhang of any structure whatsoever into a servitude. Any opposition? Motion carries. Variance is approved, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 1567.06, Lot E, of the Richard and Eartha Rayborn property for Michelle Rayborn, located on the west side of Rayborn Road, approximately 400 feet north of LA Highway 22.
James Falgo representing the Rayborns on the following plat.
Did you sign in, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Asking for a reduction in the building setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. There is nothing directly behind this property. It's just a wooded area, cow pasture. No structures, homes, or anything sitting on that lot. They're wishing to add on to the house. The house is getting a little small for them. It's the house right now is probably about 1,200 square foot in action to add on to the back. With the 20 foot that's required for conservation, they really can't go back too much farther. I think it's 7 of them living in a little 3-bedroom house.
Okay, let's go ahead and open up public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody like to speak for or against this gentleman's request? No one? Close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now closed.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Are there any drainage servitudes at all on this property?
This property's been subdivided like this since, I would say, the 1940s, and when it was done, there was none onto the property. And all we were doing is a boundary map of it. We weren't subdividing the property, so we couldn't.
That's fine.
And there's no
on there.
utility servitudes on that property?
None were ever designated on it at the time of the subdivision of the property. To the exact date.
Does any board member have any questions at this time?
1964 was the date that it was subdivided.
Any questions?
Mr. Rayburn, in your application, as typed here, it says you would like to construct a building 10 feet from the property line. Constructing a building is a completely different thing from an addition to an existing structure. Which is it?
Well, the building is going to be set back probably about 15 to 20 feet from where it is now.
No, sir, I don't think you understood my question.
Yeah, well, I understand.
Is this a separate
It's not the
freestanding
building.
or
That's
is
just
it
the
an addition
reduction
to
in
the
the
home?
building line, yeah.
Now, is it a separate building or is it an addition to the home?
It's addition to the home. Just adding on, creating some new bedrooms in there.
They're connected,
Yeah.
correct?
That will be connected to each other.
No, the original app doesn't say a whole lot. I agree.
Any further questions by any of the board members? No further questions? And do we have a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that this variance be approved as written and that it's harmony with the land use. It'll still provide a 10-foot buffer between the structure, which includes the roof overhang, to the property line. Will have no detrimental effect on any surrounding properties and will allow maximum use of the land by the landowner.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept. Ms. Desideer has seconded the motion. Any opposition? So be it.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Variance is granted. I hate this pencil. Next on the agenda is 1561.06 for James Meir. It's located on the north side of LA Highway 74, approximately 100 feet west of Cary Lane. Good, man.
Hi. I'm Shelley Sanchez, and I'm interested in purchasing this property. And an existing building is already on it, and the square footage is 4,300. It was used as a commercial building. And so what we're wanting is, on the purchase agreement, it actually listed it as residential/other, and we're asking for it to be commercial use for the entire existing building, which is about 4,300 square foot. And I was after making a daycare/learning center, more going toward the learning center end.
Well, first of all, okay, we can't rezone anything, okay? You just can't go out there and rezone commercial. What we're here for is is a variance or hardship, for an example,
Okay.
on that particular property. And you're saying, now correct me if I'm wrong, you just said that you're looking to purchase the property,
That's
or you
correct.
have already purchased the property?
I'm looking to purchase it,
Okay.
depending that it can be used for this use. Now, on the paperwork tonight, it does say commercial, and I'd have a hard time believing that it wasn't commercial because of the use of the building. I'm from that area right there, and I mean, it's always been, when it was in use, it was a commercial use, and the entire building was
Well,
used that way.
it's listed as medium intensity residential, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is James Muir is not here tonight to, what I'm saying is, she's not even the owner of the property.
Yeah, but she's got a purchase agreement on it. She can.
That would be acceptable?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Open public hearing, please.
Motion. Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this young lady's request? No one? Okay, close public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Any further questions by this board?
Do you know what the prior uses of this building were, and do you have any pictures of the building by any chance?
No, I do not have a picture of the building. It's just the cinder block. It's a cinder block building, like 100 by 40, and it was used for a give me a second.
There was a convenience store at one time.
Convenience store, and then it went on to be a bar at one time too.
Several years ago.
So, yeah, it's probably been at least 10 that it's been nothing.
What bar? Brady's Bar?
Yes, that's the building.
Okay, I know what's that.
That's the
did we?
building. People say they've been there.
Brady's Bar. He knows where that's at.
Oh, yes.
Now we understand where it's at.
Right.
Sure. Well, do we have any further questions by the board? Any questions? A motion?
I move that we approve it. We made an approval of a similar building last month that basically it'll never be used as a residence. Daycare, that area is booming, and I think that that's the only way the space will ever be utilized as a business, and I think that it's in harmony with the residential areas in that vicinity, and that wouldn't have any adverse effect on the neighboring residents.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman, and that this is a good use of the thing within the neighborhood, and it's a much better use of the property than a bar.
I have a question before we vote real quick.
Well, I do have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
I understand. On the motion, then, if we pass that motion, they could only do a daycare center there. It couldn't be for anything else. Correct? We're just granting them the right to
No, you don't have-
utilize
no,
that
you
building.
can't.
Sort of
No,
variance.
Okay.
you're just going for the variance that's requested. I mean, we can't limit anybody to what they do with their property.
Okay.
We don't have that
So we're saying they could do whatever they want in the 4,280 square feet.
Can we make a substitute motion to require, or just say that only
No.
use
No.
for daycare?
No. No, you can't do that.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because this piece of property was brought up before for a bigger size building
Exactly.
to be
That's why I'm
done on that property.
Thank you, because that's exactly, I didn't say that, but that's exactly what I was discussing, because on June 28th, '05, it was brought up for a retail outlet, and at that time, I assuming the same square footage, and at that time, apparently it wasn't.
It was like,
They wanted a
yeah.
larger square footage. This
Okay.
is use of an existing structure.
Okay.
Which allows the property owner to use their property as it exists.
Okay,
So it's
okay,
different.
I'm clear with it now.
We have a motion and a second. Any opposition? So moved. Variance is granted, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 1562.06 for John Secure, located on northeast corner of Coontrap and Juliet Street. To Juliet Street.
Actually, I'll figure this one out.
Yes, how you doing? I'm John Segura. I own Surplus Sales on Coontrap and Juliet, and we're trying to improve some parking situations we have. I have like 20-something employees there, and we've been having trouble getting trucks in and out of there, and the neighbors have been complaining, so we're trying to concrete the front of that building and add about 4 offices in the front of the building, and re-vinyl side it and improve the total outlook of the building itself. So I think this is mainly for the easement. I think we're supposed to be 75 feet off the road, and we're 60 feet to concrete the front of the building.
Let's go ahead and open up public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Does anybody in the audience want to speak in favor of or against this gentleman's request? Sign-in sheet is over there. We'll take you one at a time. Please state your name as you come to the podium, please. Go ahead, ma'am. State your name.
Marie Lambert. I live directly behind this business. We're parallel to the whole property, and originally it was a commercial to a certain servitude where his property ends, and then he purchased an extension of this property beyond that means, and we've had to look at all this ugly valves and buildings and et cetera, weeds and everything else. And he has a ditch line along there where there is supposed to be a servitude, but it's not too much of one because he's fixing to build. He has a privacy fence on Juliet Street and at the end of this property. So he didn't put a privacy fence behind this property where we see this whole line of property. Well, and since he's applied for this license to do this, or whatever you want to call it, he's came in there and cleaned up the place, started cleaning up the place, I should say. And he has, it was weeds up to my head, and I would be scared to walk back there if I was an employee, because I'd be scared to get by a snake or a rat run over me. And then besides that, it's got chemicals in it. It's valves. It comes from a plant that's a drainage where the water, where Hurricane Rita came, and this last flood that we had prior. And like I say, he's starting to clean it up. So I don't know where he begins, where there was grandfathered in for this business at the end of this property line. He added on and purchased this other land. So he came in and started putting all these valves back there that wasn't there prior years ago. And so I'm asking, that that the parish, and he has, the ditch and that, and the parish needs to come and clean it up, whatever. And besides that, there's 18-wheelers on Coon Trap, which is 938, and it blocks the traffic back and forth. School buses pass a particular time. He has all this big equipment that's loading it on and off. And then about a week ago, I was outside by myself, and no one was home or anything at my house or whatever, and I was by myself. And one afternoon, they have a PA system where the girls call these people on, come to the office or whatever. And this one little young gentleman said, well, what do you want me to do now? And I thought to myself, you could take the corn cob and put it in your mouth because,
ma'am, we get to Jess. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just saying. He's saying, well, what do you want me to do now? I said, well, excuse me, you can just go outside, speak to the gentleman or whoever you need to speak to, because the girls, they call the line, and we can hear everything they say. But this in particular guy, that's the first time I ever heard it, so I don't know. That's what I heard. So that's my complaint, that all this stuff is sitting back there, and it's like, so we talk about chemicals from the water, because when it comes a big flash flood like that, it's really gotten bad. So I don't know what kind of chemicals there is in these things. I have no idea. I'm not a DEQ person, so I don't know.
Okay, ma'am. I'll
Thank you.
give you 3 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we go any further, is there a plat or something? This is very confusing.
You can ask Lance the question.
Before we go any further, do we have a plat of this property or something showing where it, because it's very confusing, because all I'm seeing is these floor plans. It doesn't give me any idea of how it sits on the property or what I have in this packet.
For
I'm sorry,
one
ma'am.
thing, I'm
Hang
sorry.
on 1 second, ma'am, please. I'm sorry. Do you have anything other than that, Lance, showing the floor plan?
I have that floor plan of the plot plan where it shows Coon Trap on the front, and then Juliet runs along the side. There's a building that it's adding on to that they're going, along Coon Trap. The other building is existing that they're adding on to.
Okay, so the part along Coon Trap, this small part up here, is the part he's adding? Just this little square at the front?
Yes. Correct. That's
Right
it.
here?
This. What's
This whole, he's adding this whole piece?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Thank you, ma'am, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because I can only allow you all 3 minutes.
I just made copies for all y'all.
Okay. You go. We'll pass this down. This extra documentation, or additional documentation, I'm sorry.
It's the only one we get.
We're just trying to show that they have already outgrown the space that they are, and by trying to expand what they have will only increase their business and the traffic problems that we have daily. Their employees park under the no parking signs on Juliet Street because their parking lot is always full. This blocks my personal driveway. They double park in their parking lot, and they exit straight onto Juliet Street through the drainage ditch, not a driveway. This is not an exit. You may get head-on or hit them if you are turning onto Juliet from Louisiana Highway 938. UPS delivers daily to Surplus Valves. They park on Juliet. They make their delivery and pickup, again stopping under the no parking signs. Please remember, this is a mail order business. They have no loading and unloading zone for their business. If they stop too close to Louisiana Highway 938, when we turn onto Juliet, we almost have had accidents from they're parked right there. We've had to put signs all down Juliet like no parking and no turnaround because they utilize the whole street as it is, our private personal property, because they do not provide adequate space for their business. UPS trucks and 18-wheelers come and go all day. The 18-wheelers must stop on LA Highway 938, wait for a clear road, then they must back up from Louisiana Highway 938 into Surplus Valves. Isn't this illegal? This totally blocks off Louisiana Highway 938 at this time. This usually occurs during peak traffic hours between 9 to 6 daily, every day, sir, every day. The school bus must stop right at this place and let children off with this going on. It's very, very dangerous. If you are on Juliet trying to exit off of Juliet onto 938, you must pull all the way into the highway because you cannot see around these 18-wheelers that are stopped on the road. Vision is limited and impaired. If the parking lot is full, or if delivery trucks don't pull into surplus valves, their employees will get their forklifts and unload these trucks anywhere. Juliet Street, Coontrap Road, whatever it takes to unload, that's where they'll unload. The Coca-Cola truck never pulls in. He unloads straight off of Highway 938 all the time. Remember, this is a mail order business. There's an electrical service pole right in front of the business where he plans to concrete. I don't see how he can concrete with that service pole right there. This is a mail order business. Please make it safe without endangering our lives. Ride by and see what we face every day. They have outgrown this location. I can see no place they can expand. Expanding would only increase their business and these traffic problems. Would these proposed expansions get these 18-wheelers off of the Louisiana Highway 938? Is he creating a loading and unloading zone? And then when they have one or two delivery trucks coming at the same time, they have to wait on the highway for the truck to move, and then another one comes in. The 18-wheelers are always in our way. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
How you doing? I live right behind the gentleman that's applying for the thing, and the thing is that he's brought some dirt back in there. He's brought some little bulldozers and hauled dirt in there. And what I'm concerned is my house, I'm 14 foot above the high point, and I got flooded. And him bringing dirt in there, I mean, I don't think it's right. And what I'm concerned about my house flooding again. And I got water.
Let me explain something to you. And what you're speaking of is a very serious issue, okay? And I agree with you, but unfortunately that board doesn't contend with flooding or actually the streets, roads, conditions, and stuff like that. What this board is here for, and this is to everybody, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find out what the ordinance, we have to go what the ordinance say. Okay? Even though what you're saying is very important, but it's the wrong board.
Well, that's fine.
You have to go to the planning and zoning to correct that issue. Not necessarily correct it, but to address that issue. Okay? So what we're here for is simply for what they're requesting, a partial property.
That's fine. Well, I got some more anyway. Like I said, he puts the trucks on Highway 938 to unload, and I have trees that's right behind me. And what I'm concerned about is when these trucks are in the road, cars come, what they going to do, hit the truck or hit my tree? And I'm going to be reliable if they hit the tree on my property. So, you know, it's really not a good thing. You know, I mean, like I say, you know, they speak, the guy has outgrown his place. I mean, I don't, he just, I mean, I don't know what else he can do. I mean, before, like I said, I mean, everybody else done spoke. I mean, I just think that the guy just outgrown his place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ronnie Lambert.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
My name is Ronnie Lambert. I live right behind you. My biggest problem is the valves that's on the ground. I worked at a chemical plant for 24 years. I know what comes out in chemical valves. It could be hydrofluoric acid. I don't know what's in them, but I'm just telling you what I know that I work with. Hydrofluoric acid, chlorine, toluene, benzene, sulfuric acid. And these valves are sitting on the ground. Where they sitting at, the land is very low. It does hold water. I'm very, very concerned that when the water rises, all these chemicals that's in these valves comes into my property. I got a water well that's 150 feet from there. I don't know if any of y'all ever been burned by hydrofluoric acid, but it's bad. I've been burnt by it. It goes directly to calcium in your bones. It's calcium, and it will actually eat your finger off if that's what's in those valves. I do not know what's in them, but all the valves that I work with at the chemical plants is similar to these right here. And I'm very, very concerned about that. And you can see with the pictures I gave you what I look at every morning. It's very, very ugly. It's very, very, it's very unsafe back there, I'm telling you.
I don't want to take up your time, but I
Okay.
do want those pictures that you have shown us.
Yes.
That is from your backyard.
Yes, sir. That's from my backyard.
Go ahead. I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Okay, when I look out my back door, that's what I see. Now, he is putting up a fence. If you also look at that, he's putting a fence up there, and he has a ditch that runs through there that the parish is supposed to keep up. Supposed to keep up. They've cleaned it one time in the last 10 or 12 years. Now, the gentleman did clean it this past week. Now, what I'm concerned about, if he puts the fence up, is the ditch going to be clean. Also, like my son said, that he's putting dirt in there. And I'm concerned about that, too, dropping more water onto me. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ms. June, anybody else?
George Valentine.
George Valentine at 13323 Highway 73, Geismar. The councilman for the district just want to reiterate these people that live on Juliet Street have contacted me several times, especially right after I first got in office 2.5 years ago. I've only spoken to Mr. Segura one time. I've stopped by his place a couple of times with several complaints. We did have to put in parking signs to try and alleviate the large trucks coming off of a coon trap. It is a problem. It is a problem as far as the view of these people trying to come out of Juliet Street. One thing Mr. Segura said, and I'm at a little disadvantage because I don't have a map, but he mentioned that he's going to add some offices and wanted to take care of parking. And I would suggest that if it has something to do with reevaluating his space, that hopefully there's going to be an allowance for trucks if you do grant this to be able to come off of Coon Trap or not go on Juliet Street or impede any view of the residents that's coming in and out of Juliet Street, because it is a problem. We have, in fact, the last time I talked to Mr. Segura, the only time, he had told me that he was going to relocate his business. Evidently that fell through and he hasn't, so obviously he's going to continue at that spot, which he can. But the addition of more office space is naturally going to increase the services at his spot, and that just needs to be taken in consideration. Of course, these residents' concerns also. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ms. June? All right, let's close public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now closed. Any further questions by the board members? Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have some comments.
Go ahead, sir.
To those people here that are speaking to the chemical and environmental issues, unfortunately, this board cannot address those concerns, but we do have an agency in this state that can. That's called the DEQ. Those of you that have these concerns, which, from what I've heard here, they concern me, but I can't address them. I would suggest that you contact the DEQ. They have people that are specifically empowered to address your concerns and will guide you through that process, whatever it may be. My only question to you, those of you that have those concerns, is if you have these concerns, why haven't you already done so? That's a rhetorical question. I think that you should ask yourself that question. If it's this big of an issue, why didn't you do it years ago? Because I don't think this problem happened overnight. So
I have a question for Mr. Segura, if we can.
Mr. Segura, he's got a chance for a rebuttal, anyhow.
Right, okay. Mr. Segura, let me ask you a question. You said that, I think you mentioned it, and then Mr. Valentine just reiterated it, that you were going to improve the parking or substantially, or you were going to improve the parking some kind of way. Unfortunately, in the packet that I have, it just shows the addition that you're trying to add to the building. And based on what I'm seeing in some of these photos and stuff, it looks like that it would, to me, it would impede traffic coming out of Juliet and block some of the vision there. What exactly are you doing, and how to improve the parking and getting the trucks in and out, as Mr. Valentine just mentioned?
Yes, sir. Well, actually, what we're wanting to do is make the parking in the front off of Coontrap instead of Juliet. So basically, concrete. We've been in touch with the state, and the offices we're talking about is not for additional employees. It's for the existing employees that I have now. It's 4 little small offices to the front side on the Coontrap side, facing Coontrap, nothing to do with Juliet. And I also like to say we're not a mail order business. In the DEQ, we have been inspected by the DEQ. All of these valves have been they've been cleaned and everything before they hit the land. The ditch the gentleman's referring to has been a problem back there. I did not haul dirt in on that land. I hauled limestone to make me an additional laydown yard. So, and I am putting up a fence on that side because that other gentleman cleaned his whole land on that whole property. They cut it, and I've had some people pull up weeds, so I understood that it was an eyesore, so I invested the money in the fence. I'm investing money in making additional parking so that the trucks can go in there to alleviate the problems that all the neighbors are having. So, and all I'm asking for is to have that easement and to put my 4 little offices right there. I'm not going to go anywhere, so I'm trying to fix the problem. Eventually, I might move to another building, but as it stands right now, I'm trying to make it not be a hazard by doing these improvements. As you can see, some of these guys are trying to fight it, but all I'm trying to do is fix the problem. Okay. And I employ about 25 people there.
Okay, again, I guess I'm a little bit confused because, unfortunately, like I said, I don't have a plat of the property itself and showing the surrounding properties. But what I'm seeing is this addition that you're saying that you want to put on the side of the building by Coontrap Road.
Right.
And then you're also saying at the same time you want to add parking on the side of Coontrap Road. Where is that all going to go?
The parking is going to be where you can pull straight off of Coontrap, where the trucks can come off of Coontrap and get off of the highway. So, like, the building is, 60?
The existing building is 60 feet from the center line of the road. If you're on the corner of Juliet and Coontrap and you look to the left, you see the building, and it has about 15 foot of fence that runs right up to Coontrap, which is a problem for being able to pull out. The fence will be eliminated from Coontrap to the existing building with concrete, have culverts put down, which that takes care of any problems of being able to see oncoming traffic. And by moving employees parking there, that makes room for the trucks to stay off of Juliet.
Right.
You have to back in.
No, they can pull straight in from Coontrap.
No. Sorry, ma'am, you had your chance. I'm not going to get into a verbal dispute. Okay, so please respect us in that respect. Okay, go ahead, sir. I apologize.
What we're saying is the trucks will be able to pull straight off of Coontrap and go in front of my building and be loaded there and pull straight back onto Coontrap. Therefore, they won't have to go pull down Juliet and block the traffic where everybody can take their little pictures and stuff, and my employees can stay off the road. And all the employees can park in the front, too. That's going to make additional parking. At one time, I was trying to build a building. And another thing where they're wrong, I bought all that property at one time, and it was zoned commercial. And I have been growing rapidly. But I was going to build a building back there in the back, which would have solved this problem, too. But unfortunately, somebody had a meeting, and I was out of the country. I have other shops throughout the world. I was out of the country, and they declined me of being able to build a shop back there. It would have been real nice. We would have had less parking problems. That could have been done. But, I mean, my case is simple. I'm trying to fix the problem, and I'm willing to invest the money right now to fix the problem. If these guys want to fight it, then the problem just stays there. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I have a few questions because I'm glad you're trying to fix the problem, but the problem that I think that we face tonight is that you don't have a lot of fixes on this paper from what the neighbors are complaining about. A moment ago, it was mentioned that the existing building is 60 foot from the center line. Correct. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because what I thought was being requested was that the building be 60 foot from the center line instead of 75. So if the existing building is already 60 foot from the center line, then you're requesting to build even closer to the center line. Is that true?
Parallel. Coon trap. So the existing building that is 60 foot off to the left, running parallel to Coon Trap.
Right.
We would build, add on 504 square feet office building.
Just 4 offices so that I can open up the middle area that I'm in right now and make it a little bit more shop. But while I'm doing it, in other words, my entrance would come off of Coon Trap instead of Juliet right now.
Well, that's where you have me confused. Are you 60 foot off of Coon Trap or 60 foot off of what road?
Coon Trap.
Okay, because what we were given shows Coon Trap, and it shows the addition going towards Coon Trap, from what I'm looking at.
This is the existing building here.
Well, no, but, okay.
See how this is connected? They're doing this.
But he's saying the existing building is already 60 foot off.
Go ahead, let's maintain
That's
quiet,
what I'm
please.
asking.
Well, no, I can see if this is existing building here. 60 foot.
But they said a minute ago, this was the addition, not just this.
Right, but they're going parallel with
Do is there an entrance on Coon Trap Road at this time?
No, sir.
No.
No, there's no. You have to. Well,
I'm
there
seeing-
is.
I'm seeing one of these
I'm sorry.
pictures.
There is a road that comes in off of Coon Trap. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So basically, all I'm doing is like if you're coming down Coon Trap, I'm adding parallel with my building, 4 offices on that side. But I want to right now. There's a fence, and there's a yard right there. What I want to do is concrete all the way to the road to Coon Trap. Put a culvert down in the ditch so that all my employees can park in the front of the building rather than on the side. That way the trucks can come in and out. I'm trying to put a culvert down, and I'm going to put a front entrance of my building will be on facing Coon Trap, whereas the door right now faces Juliet for people to come in and out so they park on that side.
Do you have a plot plan that shows your entire land and where the current buildings are on your land?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And where
Do you
this
have it with
concrete
you?
for the parking's going to go?
No, I haven't brought it. Is the drawing confusing or something? Is that?
Yeah,
is that
Yes.
Where it's showing would be closer to Coon Trap. That's just the entry door, which for the fire marshal we had to have a door going into the new addition. And what you're looking at would just be a cover. And I mean, we could access the building from the existing building. We would put a door going into it.
But do you
Or
have
all
something?
you're saying you're going to build is this?
No, ma'am. Come up there. All right. This is the existing building. A new building is running this way. This is Coon Trap Road. This just would be an entry door. And we just would put an overhang for said entry door. We have to have a door for the fire marshal. If we did just a door and not an overhang, that wouldn't.
So in that building configuration, how would you have a 18-wheeler come up to that
This is
from Coon
60
Trap?
foot from here to the center line of Coon Trap, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this is 8 foot more, right?
That was just an overhang over the building.
I know, but you
Yeah.
have to include it.
But we don't have to have an overhang. There's
Okay.
on the door, is it?
Well, I don't know, it's in your drawing.
We just
So,
drew it up, but it's just the entry door.
okay, and this would be where you're building these other
No, ma'am,
offices?
this is the existing building, right here.
Okay.
This was like a little corner in this existing
What's
building.
is this is Juliet, or this
No, this is Juliet over
Okay,
here.
that's what I thought. And you've currently got a driveway like right here? Okay, and exactly how is an 18-wheeler going to pull in there?
Well, he has a fence right along the ditch there. And we had talked to, I talked to Lance, and we were talking to the state, culvert, the ditch, and concrete, all of this up to 60 foot, which total would be, I mean, the whole front of his property, from where the property starts to where it ends, would be concrete now.
Okay. Do you have any approvals from the state yet to culvert that?
No, we haven't went that far. This is our first step. We had our trench drawn up for the fire marshal.
No, they just put it on there. They just put it on there. All right, any further questions about the board? We have a motion on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that this variance be denied for many reasons, one of which the visual evidence I have been presented here tonight leads me to believe that this business has grown out of the category of light industrial. It also leads me to believe that it is causing harm to the neighborhood and the public thoroughfare. If this gentleman would like to come back before this board at a later date with a more comprehensive plan for all the things that he alleges that he wants to do, that's his prerogative. But at this point in time, I can only recommend that we move that this be disapproved for the aforementioned reasons.
We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second to disapprove as written. We also have a second. Any opposition? No opposition. Motion carries. Variance is denied.
The people that brought the pictures like to
Like to have them back. Next on the agenda, Lot 50, Cedar Grove subdivision for Carl Courtney, located on the north side of Conifer Drive, approximately 900 feet of Roddy Road.
Yes, I'm Carl Courtney of Prairieville Properties. These two homes were the first two that was constructed in the subdivision. I was out of town, had two different framers forming them.
Could you speak in the microphone a little bit? I really can't hear you.
Yes. I was out of town when these two forms were set, and one of the framers called me and told me there was a problem with the depth of the lot, which I didn't understand. The engineers, in their wisdom, had set the back corners on a 20-foot offset, which I've never even heard of. But anyhow, it was very confusing. My only instruction to these guys was, be sure you're far enough from the street. Well, of course, they weren't. They were 5 feet short. In other words, the variance I'm asking for is to set these two homes 5 feet, 20-foot setback instead of a 25, which is the norm in the subdivision. All the other houses will be at 25 feet setback. I also got the engineer to come out and shoot the forms. Well, the guy that normally communicates with me was off the week that all this happened. When I was back in town, I didn't go measure it because I assumed everything was cool, poured the concrete. Then he calls and says, hey, you 5 feet too close. So that's the sequence of events.
Let us open up public hearing, please.
I'll so move.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody like to speak in favor of or against this gentleman's request, please come up and sign in. No one? Close public hearing.
So moved.
Public hearing is now closed. Do we have any further questions for this gentleman?
How many houses are currently built in this subdivision?
These are the first two.
These are the first two?
These are the first two homes, and we've got some others now that are being formed and, you know, under construction, but they're all behind the 25-foot line, believe me.
Mr. Courtney, are you a professional builder?
Yes, sir. And I thought I covered all bases, but it appears that I didn't.
Yes, sir, I agree with you. And you do understand that this is a self-induced hardship? Somebody goofed?
Yeah, right, that's correct.
You also understand that self-induced hardships are not something that we're inclined to grant a variance for? Because it infers special privilege?
Well, maybe I shouldn't have agreed with your first statement because I didn't understand what
I
you
know.
meant.
I asked it that way specifically because
If it's going to incriminate me, I don't agree to
here, someone who's not a professional builder, you can give them the benefit of the doubt and say they don't know better. A professional builder is held a little bit higher standards because they're professional
I understand.
builders.
I definitely understand, but it's something that happened, you know, even with the best laid plans of everybody.
Did you have a contractor for this for you?
A contractor? No, I'm a builder.
So they all work for you?
Yes, sir.
So there's nobody you can sue?
That's correct.
You have a problem, sir.
Well, there are lots of subdivisions with 20-foot setbacks, and this particular street has a little curve, so that it will not be an eyesore for the subdivision. The 5 foot, you probably won't even see it. You probably won't even notice it.
I have a question. You're saying it's 5 foot, but then the variance being requested is 6.5 feet. Is it 5 or is it 6.5?
My understanding was 5 feet.
Yeah, but does that count the overhang?
That's probably where the 1.5 is, yes.
Any further questions? Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that these, in fact, let's just consider them both together, 1564.6.
No, let's go one. Let's go one at a time.
Well, okay, in this case, I'm inclined to move that this be disapproved because this is a self-induced hardship by a professional builder who knows better. So I see no reason to grant a special privilege.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion to deny, and we also have a second. Any opposition? No opposition? Motion carries. Variance is denied. Next on the agenda, which is, you might as well stand up here, sir, is the same one. Yes. Well, no, not the same one. Different one. Same one. Got me saying it now.
Same problem.
Same problem. 1564.06, Lot 51, Cedar Grove subdivision, Carl Courtney. It's located on the north side of Coffer Drive, approximately 970 feet east of Roddy Road. Go ahead and open up public hearing.
Motion.
Public hearing is now open.
I have one question real quick.
Go ahead with your question.
It all looks the same. One of them, this one says 4.5 feet, and the last one says 6.5. I know we're looking at this one right now. Can you explain the difference in that?
I absolutely can't, but I'm sure Wayne.
I'm going to ask for you to try to do that as briefly as possible because we'd like to get as many voices as we can in. Phone numbers are 202-737-0001 if you live in the eastern half of the U.S., 202-737-0002 for those of you in the Mountain and Pacific time zones. And we learned yesterday that with covering the country like that, we're going to hear from a lot of displaced hurricane folks who are living in cities all across the United States, and we welcome those calls once again. Okay, Mr. Leger, let's walk through the process. You're a homeowner in New Orleans. Now you're the authority is ready to help. Would you walk us through the steps as you envision them that people will have to go through?
Yeah, absolutely. And the program is underway. You have to take in the context, it's only
For different conditions, yeah. I mean,
Professional builders.
yeah, for different conditions. I mean, can't really go into this, but we just had to speak of this. Okay.
I have, I guess, a similar question because on the written request it says the variance being requested is 2 foot, and then in the written it says 4.5.
Lance is out the building.
Is this one 2 foot off, or is it 4.5
I
foot
think
off?
probably it's the 4.5, not
Okay.
the 2 foot.
I have a question. Who filed these for you? It's really. Did you file these?
I did, but Miss June and I worked over the telephone.
Okay. That's all I want to know. No names. I just want to make sure you were involved.
Oh yes, I was involved.
100% with that.
Yes, but I just didn't. I don't have the numbers in front of me or in my head.
Any further discussion? Motion.
Same motion, Mr. Chairman. Same motion.
Same second.
And you second it. Motion to deny as written, and we also have a second. Any opposition? No opposition. So motion carries. Variance is denied. Next on the agenda is 1565.06 for Jesse Reynolds, located on the southwest corner of Stewart Road and River Road. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'm Lakeisha Joseph. Have a mobile home on.
Could you speak in the microphone, please?
I'm nervous.
Well, that's okay. Take it easy.
I'm Lakeisha Joseph. Have a mobile home on Stewart Road and the River Road.
And your request is tonight is?
It's setback, y'all requirement.
Okay, you're requesting from center line on River Road
Yes,
37 feet. Is that correct? Or is that 3'7"? Or it's 37 feet. Open up public hearing, please.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody in the audience that's speaking for or against this young lady's request, please step up, sign in. No one? Close public hearing, please.
Second.
Public hearing is now closed. Any further questions from the board?
Ms. Reynolds, when was the trailer put there?
About a month ago.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
About a month ago.
About a month ago?
Mhm.
Okay. And you didn't have someone look in to see where it could go on the property?
The mobile home movers.
The mobile home movers?
Mhm.
You depended on them to put it in the right place, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or did you tell them where to put this?
I paid them $1,500 to move it on that land, and I told them how I wanted it, but they must have moved it in. They must have put it in the wrong spot.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Lance, are these the photos? Do you know what size this lot is that you have?
Right here.
No, ma'am.
Oh, it's 40 by 75.
It's I put the dimensions, that's approximately, by scaling it off, I got 40 by 75.
And what size is your mobile home?
14 by 70, I think.
Lance, if the lot's only 40 foot wide, 39 foot variance.
Is the mobile home centered on the lot, or how did they determine where it is? Because from the pictures, I mean, we're kind of getting an angle, and it looks like there's another mobile home right at the end of where your mobile home is. Is there, or?
No, ma'am. There's no more.
Is there a wood fence directly behind your back door?
No, ma'am.
These are terrible pictures now.
Any further questions by this board directed towards this lady? About a motion.
Mr. Chairman, as much as I'd like to help this lady out, to grant a variance for this would create a lot of hazards. It brings it right to the property line because there's a right-of-way there for River Road. It makes a blind corner. The words fail me to describe this situation. I understand you paid somebody to move it, but I'm afraid that I cannot, in good conscience, in the interest of public safety and land use and just a plethora of other things, I cannot recommend that we grant this variance. I wish I could. So I'm going to have to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we deny this for the four stated reasons.
We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion to deny as requested. We have any opposition? No opposition? Motion carries. Variance is denied now. Next on the agenda is 1566.06, Lot 682 and Lot 693, the Greens at Pelican Point, first filing, Part 2. Located on the north side of the Courtyard Drive, approximately 1,080 feet west of Green Park Drive.
My name is Kevin Williams. I'm representing Pelican Point Properties, and we are requesting a 20-foot rear setback to be moved to 15 feet. We have a potential customer who is trying to fit a set of a house plan on this property that they would like for us to build for them. And we're keeping up with the step with the parish requirements to submit a variance for each additional lot on an individual basis. And also, I'd like to mention that the board has approved all of our past requests for variances on this side of the street in the Greens area. And on the rear of this property, the lot has a 100-foot drainage servitude.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's open up public hearing, please.
On the rear, it has how many foot servitude?
100 foot.
100-foot drainage servitude?
Yes.
On the rear? Okay.
We've got a motion to...
Second.
Okay. Public hearing is now open. Anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of or against this gentleman's request? Please come up and sign in. No one? Okay.
Close public.
Closed. Public hearing is now closed. Any questions from the board?
Is there any houses on the side of this house?
Yes, I believe there is.
Does it obstruct any views?
No, because this is it's a rear setback.
Okay.
At the, from where this house would be, it's showing the 15-foot. The end of that 15-foot, if I'm standing at the back of the house looking that way 15 feet, is there a fence there? What is there into that drainage servitude?
We have there's a 6-foot wood fence.
It's a 6-foot wood fence? Okay, and there's no homes on either side of it, you said, or there?
Yeah, there are some homes
There
on the
is
side.
existing
Yes.
homes on each side of the
Yes.
side, okay. And those two homes are how close to the rear property line?
I really don't know. I would have to guess that they don't go beyond the 20-foot setback.
Okay, so you never came to get those closer or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
The rear of these homes all have courtyard fenced areas, though, correct, or no?
No, ma'am.
Public hearing is closed. Any further discussion by the board? Comments? Questions? Motion?
I move that we grant the variance as requested. These are very small homes. It's the maximum usage of the lot. I don't see any adverse effect on neighbors or surrounding areas. So I move that we accept it as written.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that with the caveat that this variance include the roof overhang. This is not to the slab line.
So we have a motion to approve, and we also have a second. Any opposition?
Nope.
No opposition? So be it. Variance is approved.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda.
I think he went to break. We'll start.
45 minutes? No. Got a request right now to take a 5-minute quick break. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We should be back here at 7:30.
6 minutes.
Go.
An hour and a half at one stretch is enough. You want some?
Give me a cup of coffee if you would, please.
Can I get it?
Let me ask you a question. It's just an email, Mike. That was my comment to Kathy earlier. Let me see.
that now? Well, it's good seeing you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's be seated. Board of Adjustments back in. Yeah, I gave some additional. Next on the agenda tonight is the interpretation for commercial use located on 35355 Coontrap Road on the corner of Bertrand Road and Coontrap Road. Let's go ahead and open public hearing on this now.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. We've went over this previous 2 months ago, and we deferred it to this month due to the fact that the individual couldn't be here for I think medical reasons. Do you have? Let me ask you a question. Do you have anything new to present to us tonight that we hadn't already heard? By all means.
This is my interpretation request.
Okay.
I would like to speak first.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Okay. You will get that chance.
Okay.
But what I'm asking is not to be so repetitious. That's what I'm trying not to be.
I'm not going to be repetitious on that at all.
Okay. Well, go ahead, sir.
Okay. My name is Todd Acosta. My residence is at 39371 Coontrap Road. It's the adjacent property. I am requesting that this board not hear any testimony or evidence from Mr. Larry Bouquois tonight or represent his client that is present tonight. It has come to my attention that Mr. Bouquois has sat as legal counsel on at least 2 separate Planning and Zoning Commission meetings, right in the same chair Mr. Parrington sits in. Mr. Bouquois is an Ascension Parish District Attorney. He is an employee of this parish, according to law. Mr. Bouquois should not be representing any client in front of any Ascension Parish governing body, governing officer, board, or commission. And with that being said, I'll go to my statement. May I approach?
Sir?
May I approach?
Yes.
Can you please turn to page 1 of the packet? I just handed it to you. Note the highlighted lines from section 17F 135, paragraph F. Whenever commercial operations carried on such a building or such a land have been discontinued for a period more than 180 days. The only question in front of you tonight is whether or not Mr. Paul Cleveland of Cleveland Automotive Shop Equipment fulfilled the requirements of commercial operations from 1998 to 2005. Can you please turn to page 2? The definition of commercial per Webster's dictionary is concerned with or engaged in commerce or making or intended to make a profit. The definition of commerce is the activity of buying or selling. Please turn to page 3. At the June meeting of the Board of Adjustments, Mr. Paul Cleveland stated that I shut my business down in 1997. I got disabled and was not able to work. Can you please turn to page 4? The one and only year that Cleveland Automotive Shop Equipment had an Ascension Parish occupational license was way back in 1997. Mr. Cleveland stated this, that he did shut his business down in 1997. Please turn to page 6. Section 17, 135 commentary states, the best course is to bring an gradual elimination to these non-conforming uses. The current tenant, Auto Engine Service, has gone from using the property for a warehouse dealer business to an automotive engine rebuilding service that is now using 4 different lots, 3 of which are definitely, without a question, residentially zoned. If Mr. Duplessis is allowed to stay, this will clearly have an effect on my property values and the surrounding property values, not to mention the health and safety issues currently on his property. And if you look at the black and white photos, there's several hundred engines laying around the property, oily engines. I mean, you can see it. It's basically a junkyard next door. If you turn to page 7, the top picture shows Lot 6C in January of 2005, just after Mr. Duplessis moved in. Please note that the cargo container and the trailer are for Mr. Duplessis and was not there prior to him occupying the lot. The bottom picture was taken in June of 2006. Note all the junk being stored on Lot 6C, which is a residentially zoned piece of land, property. Can you please turn to page 8? This is a picture of the water well located on the southeast corner of the building, behind the metal building. Its multiple valve service houses down Bertrand Babin Road, including the metal building and at least 2 other residences. This is the only reason the electricity meter was never disconnected from the metal building the whole time it was unoccupied. Can you please turn to page 9? Highlighted is Mr. West's letter, shows that Mr. Mark Duplessis only applied and received his occupational license after these hearings were scheduled for June in front of this board, including a 2005 occupational license backdated on May 16, 2006 for 2005. So Mr. Duplessis, I guess, operated without a business license, without paying sales taxes for 13 plus odd months. Also, be reminded that Mr. Duplessis was evicted from 2 other locations just prior to him moving onto this property. Both evictions involved occupying residentially zoned piece of properties, unsafe building, unsafe electrical, all in residential zoned areas. No different than this one we have right here. In closing, how could Cleveland Automotive Shop Equipment fulfill the requirements of Section 17135F, which states he must continue commercial operations if he shut down his business in 1997? Had no W-2s, had no 1099s, no tax returns, and had no business or occupational license for over 7 years. I do believe this was the intent of the Parish Council when they passed this development code. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Let me state something here, which is, and I want to state that, you know, drainage, traffic, land values, that's all important to this board, okay? However, it's not an issue for this particular hearing tonight, okay? This board, and I don't want to confuse anybody, this board has nothing to do with the land values, drainage, or traffic, okay? So just keep that in mind.
Y'all did ask in the June meeting that someone provide a survey of where the metal building was.
Well, the question was, at that time, sir, we didn't even know where the property was located.
Right.
We didn't have an idea, because all you're given, and even tonight, we stand before you again tonight at 39,355. But all night long, you've heard me say lot 51, parcel numbers, and everything else. So what I'm telling you is that's the reason why we requested it. We want to know where it was at.
The survey that I provided Lance the very next day is Lot 5. It shows the metal building on
Right.
Lot 5.
And
Mr.
that,
Bouquois is getting ready to tell you that the land has been sold. There is a agreement between the new landowners, and the property lines have been moved, and now they've made a new commercial lot, adding to Lot 6C, which they spoke nothing of in the last meeting.
and we heard that,
They
sir.
said 6B and 6A and 6. They never talked about a Lot 6C. All that paperwork was supposedly done before the first meeting, so.
Okay. And I
don't
will
know
give you a
what's going
chance,
on.
I will give you a chance for a rebuttal, sir. I'll give you 5 minutes rebuttal time. Sir?
My name is Larry Buqua. I am here on behalf of the owners of the 2 lots that we're discussing today. The building is where it's always been. Let's begin with that. It's on a piece of property located just off of Coontrap Road. It's not on the corner of Coontrap Road and Bertrand Babbitt. It is located 1 lot back. I submitted to Lance to submit to you some documents that show the ownership of those 2 pieces of property. Mr. Jim Babin owns what is called Lot C. It was mistakenly called Lot B earlier when we were here before, just because we didn't know what it was called at that time. But the surveyor corrected it and said it was Lot C all along. There was a dispute, as we mentioned the last time we were in court. We were here. The dispute was in court as to the boundary, and so one of the reasons that lawsuit ensued between the parties was to determine that boundary. To solve that, a person bought Lot 5, the old what is called the old Lot 5, and then entered into a boundary agreement with Mr. Babin to correct the issue of the building, because that's what the whole lawsuit was about. And the property was bought from the owners of the old Lot 5. There was an issue of whether the lot began at the center of the road or whether it began on the edge of the road. If you take it from the center of the road, it falls within a foot or so of where the building is, with an overlap of the building of 1 foot or so onto the lot in the front. If you take it from the edge of the road, well, obviously it comes further back and more of the building would have been in that. The surveyor, Mr. Willard Quintmall, believed, and he was going to be our testimony at the time of the trial, he believed it came from the center of the road. And so therefore he believes that this map depicts exactly what should have been done, except for the fact that the building did overlap a little bit. To solve that, he drew this map, and we entered into an agreement between the parties to solve it, and that's what we did. And we needed to do that despite what this board may do. We needed to do that anyway to solve the property ownership rights. Because one person owns what's called now 5A, and another person owns what's now called 6C1. Back to the property use, we submitted documents to you, affidavits from people, the owners, that showed, and there was testimony, and today Mr. Todd would have you believe that Mr. Cleveland's statement is that 4 lines. If you go back and look at the transcript of that, I think you'll see that he did say that he ceased to operate, but there were other people still operating in the building. He himself became disabled and was not able to work, but other people were working there on his behalf. And that was the testimony that he said that day that I recall. I did not check the transcript, but that's what I recall. I verified that with some people that were here, and they remembered that also. So the use of the second lot, 6C1, now called 6C1, has been commercial. We submitted those documents to you. You heard the testimony 2 months ago. And the confusion that I understood from 2 months ago was that we needed to differentiate between those lots because the front lot, we agree, has not been commercial. And even though on the agenda today it says we're talking about the front lot, the corner of Coontrap, we're really talking about the second lot as being the commercial lot, or hope that we are. We believe that continuous use does allow it to stay that way. And now what we did was we did this survey so we can differentiate between the 2 lots so that you don't have a problem between the commercial lot and the residential lot. So we are asking for the variance as per the granting when we originally submitted our affidavits and things. And so we're asking that you uphold that original interpretation by the department in granting that it is a commercial use. I can answer any questions you may have, or other people are here that might can answer those questions.
Go ahead.
So tonight, Lance, we're talking about lot 6C1 is the one we're talking about, and we're not talking about the front one.
We've always talked about the building, the metal building that is on, I guess, on lot 6C1. But it's the building, the non-conforming use of that building of the metal building that's on that lot.
Okay, and so that's the only thing.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Any further questions by this board? Any further questions? Any direction? Okay.
Call for the question.
Go ahead. You got a question?
No, I'd like to call for the question.
Oh, no, not yet. Is there anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of, other than the two I've got now, speak in favor for or against this gentleman's request? Not request, but definition, interpretation. Nobody? All right. Close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Public hearing is now closed. Does this board have any further questions? No further questions? Ms. Kathy?
Well, I had questioned before about energy receipts, lease agreements, anything that showed a continuation of business. And we were provided with one energy receipt that's minimal, to say the least. Are there other receipts, lease agreements, anything else?
Well, that is an example of what happens every month. They get a bill every month for that location, and it is a commercial account. We
Well, I agree
testified
with
to that last
statement.
time.
I agree with that statement.
Okay.
But were there lease agreements? There was an owner, there was someone
No
leasing
written agreements, they
the
were
business.
all oral agreements with
There
the
was-
owner. And
okay.
the owner is here, if you'd
And were
like to hear
there
from him.
any checks? Does the owner have W-2s to show that he showed this as rental income?
Oh, no, I mean, we're not prepared for that. We didn't realize that's what you would like. From that meeting we had 2 months ago, I didn't get that impression that that's what we needed tonight. I'd be happy to try to draw something up along those lines, but at this stage of the game, all the agreements were oral over the years with the owner of the property, and the electrical is an example of every month, and it is an electrical account. I mean, a commercial account, and there's no written agreements between the parties. And certainly we didn't, look into any tax returns or anything like that. I don't know what the three people have done as far as the sorry, but I don't know that much.
Any further questions? Any further questions by the board? Gentlemen, we have a motion. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, sir. I'd like for you to do a rebuttal. Thank you very much.
Sir. Mr. Jim Babin stated in June that he was the owner of the property. But if you look at the new ownership of the property, to me, he's telling me he never owned it. So how can we use Mr. Jim Babin's one and only affidavit, the one and only affidavit for the other side, if Mr. Jim Babin doesn't own the property or the metal building? Lot 5 has always been Lot 5. It was the record from the courthouse when the tax sale was done, when the proceedings were done for silencing the title, for the sheriff's sale. It's all the exact same lot, same description, same everything.
Okay.
Mr. Willard Quintmall did the first survey, this one right here. If you don't have it, I do have another copy.
I believe we have it.
If you don't, I'll be willing to bring it. He did the boundary agreement that Mr. Fuqua is talking about, and it's only a boundary agreement. That's nothing stopping them from next week going back and changing the boundary agreement and giving whoever the new property owner is the property back, pending, approval of them being able to stay on the property. They provided no W-2s, no sales taxes. The letter from Mark West states that. He had no license for 7 years. Had no license. He was not a business.
Yes, sir.
What's the date of that survey with them?
This is
The same one?
10/6/2005.
10/6?
This was part of
Can I see
the
that, please?
litigation of the boundary lines and the eviction of Mr. Duplessis from the property.
Each one's
By
the
MEO
same
Investment.
one.
Same thing.
Same thing. It's just
I mean, I
enlarged.
have copies for everyone if you
No,
want.
we have a copy. He's
I just
found.
want to make sure it was the same thing. You had. And
It clearly
is
shows
same
Lot
thing.
6C. Mr. Fuqua and them got this very same copy. He was involved in all the litigation on that part from Mr. Babin and Mr. Duplessis. He got this just like everybody else that's no part of the litigation. He knew about this prior to the first meeting. I'm not going to say he had a copy because with him that night, but I did tell you that night I had a copy of this, but I did not have it with me. I brought it to Lance the very next morning.
Okay.
The electricity, like I said, was there because of the water well. It crosses the building to power the water well on the corner of the building, which services 2 or 3 houses down the road.
Is that the end of your statement, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No, I'm not giving a rebuttal of a rebuttal. Even if it is not, okay? That's for something for this, because we're not going to go back and forth, okay? There's not going to be a rebuttal of a rebuttal. I seen you move towards it, and I'm sorry. Any further discussion by the board? Motion.
Mr. Chairman, we've heard a lot of testimony here tonight. We've heard conflicting opinions. Assuming that everyone is presenting the information they believe to be true, we have 2 basically conflicting opinions, which, in my humble opinion, is a 50-50 balance. On the advice of counsel, our counsel, the burden of proof for termination of non-conforming use status by abandonment or discontinuance on the party urging termination. Based on what I've heard here and what I've seen before me and what I've read, I do not believe that the party urging termination has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Trying to tread lightly on what's really a court decision and stay out of trouble and not act arbitrarily or capricious and allow the landowner to have the best use of their land. My motion is that we
Now, if you're talking about a 50-50,
uphold the original determination by Lance, which
By
was
Lance.
that the non-conforming use has been discontinued.
No, continue.
Or has continued.
Yeah.
Then
Is that what-
my motion is that the non-conforming use has continued. There has been no abandonment or discontinuance of use.
Okay. And we have a motion on the floor that they have not been a discontinuing in that service. Do we have everybody second on that? Do we have a second? No second? Okay. Motion fails due to lack of second. Do we have a motion on the floor? Ma'am, gentlemen, I need a motion.
Chairman, unfortunately, I was not here for the meeting 2 months ago, so I'm still a little bit unclear on it all. I haven't had a chance to totally absorb it.
Well, right now, you have a chance. I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask a question if you're unclear.
Well, because what I'm seeing here is some affidavits stating that there was not a business there for that period of time.
Do we need to?
Same packet that I have.
Yeah.
Which one do you speak to?
Right here.
Okay.
Same packet you have.
That was the one. Okay, just so you were talking about the same ones.
Yes.
I mean, I'm kind of looking for more proof as far as the business being open. If I would see monthly sales tax returns or something business related that a business operated that besides a drawn timeline. Yeah, it does explain the timeline, but I don't see, like lawyers would like to say, facts, evidence, other than a timeline and one energy bill.
Well, I'll agree with what Mr. Walker and the course of action and the line of questioning he's going down. People might say a lot of things about me, but the one thing they never say is that I'm not clear and when I ask for something. And at the previous meeting, I questioned about energy bills and other proof of ownership and operation of the business. Whether you're trying to prove it to me, to the IRS, to the court, or whoever, when you own a business, you not only have energy bills every month, but you have other legitimate business expenses. You have sales receipts. You have some proof that you've made a living by operating the business in a location. As an owner of a building, yeah, I might have rented something to my relative or my best friend with a handshake and a smile, but I would still have to give some proof to the state and to the federal government about my income from that. And as the business owner, I would have to still give the state and the federal government some proof of my expenses on a monthly basis. So far, we've received, as I said, one energy bill, and there was supposed to be at least a year's worth of occupancy by the current owner. I can understand maybe the current, the previous owners maybe have lost the records or whatever, but I find it hard to believe that Mr. Duplessis cannot show us anything but one energy bill, and it's in someone else's name.
Is that a form of motion?
Well, can I comment to her?
Yes, sir.
The form of a business can take many forms, one of which is active commerce, where you sell things, you do things. Another form of a commercial business could be the simple storage of a product for whatever personal reason someone may want to choose to store a product on that property. I don't know what they did, and my concern is I don't have black and white evidence to prove that it was not used for some sort of commercial storage or any other things that could be related there that would not necessarily generate all the documents that you're talking about. Therefore, that's what I base my motion on, just as a form of comment to what you were saying, because there's so many other things that the people could do that wouldn't generate those documents.
If it was being operated as a storage facility, there should have been some sort.
But that's not necessarily. That's still a commercial operation.
I know, but
if they're
that's
storing
not
product.
what was
Even
talked about
even if there was
previously.
Even if there was, I understand, I hear what you're saying. Even if there was a commercial storage or whatever that you're saying, in what Kathy I think is trying to say is, there should have been IRS records. There should have been some other things to me that they could have presented to us to show me that the business was being operated. Even if it was just a storage commercial business, like you said, and he wasn't buying and selling goods, or if he wasn't selling his services, or whatever the case may be, if he was operating a business, there should be some tax records, there should be some IRS records, something that he could show me where that business was operating at that location.
Well, and even on the energy
And I haven't
bill, it
seen
has paid by his name and not a actual company name or business name on the actual energy bill either. So,
Well, and that's
to
just
say
one
that
month.
this is a house, or somebody living in the building versus somebody actually operating it as a business. It's paid at Payless by Paul Cleveland, on the receipt.
And that's just 1 month's worth also. If
Correct.
He could have showed us I know he's saying that's representative of that, but
The other individual is showing us, things from the sales tax use and authority, that was written by Mark West, Administrator of the Sales Tax, that, evidence of occupational licenses, but given on the, different dates, not until now, only seeing one for Cleveland's automotive equipment. Whenever the timeline shows several years. like Cleveland's, 3 plus, 10 to 11 years. I just don't see the proof as far as, I see more proof on proving that there was no, business than I do that there is a business, as far as that's submitted to us.
I'm in agreement with that.
Make a motion, sir.
I mean, I'll make a motion that, I believe that, how to put the non-conforming thing. The non-conforming has been discontinued. Is that how to put it? And therefore should not continue.
So you're basically saying that Lance's decision should be overturned? Because he, if I'm right, Lance, you had made a decision that it was conforming, so we're making a decision. Your motion is to overturn his determination of conforming.
Yes.
Okay.
And you didn't have any other evidence than what we've seen tonight? Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion that the business has not met the non-conforming requirement, and we also have a second. Any opposition?
I oppose.
We have one opposition. So be it. Motion carries. The property does not conform. Now that I can't find my agenda. Oh, you stole it.
No, that's mine.
It's this last one.
Next on the agenda is the interpretation of commercial use located on the east side of Swamp Road, approximately 2,700 feet south of Perkins Road. All right. Before we get carried any further, I would like to make note, because I overheard a little bit of conversation. This is not a trial tonight, okay? We're not going to treat it as a trial. So first of all, I want everybody to know, like I've been saying all night, and I think they've heard me, drainage, traffic, land values, that kind of thing is all very important to me, especially because I live in a rural area, and I like to beat somebody over the head for it, okay? But in this particular case tonight, just remind yourself that I don't like to see a lot of repetition going on, and if you plan to speak tonight, because I know there's a lot of paperwork, and I'll show you, okay, of this case, and if you want to speak tonight, I'm going to give the people who is a spokesman, give them 10 minutes, okay? Everybody else, give a chance to speak, because it is a public hearing. That's what it's called, public hearing. And I'll give them 3 minutes apiece, and then I'm going to give a rebuttal of 5 minutes, okay? Now, once that rebuttal is done, as you've seen in the last case, I don't do rebuts of rebuts, okay? So go ahead. This is Sherry Slyman, sorry.
Keith Slyman.
Oh, you are?
I'm Keith Slyman.
Okay. Go ahead, sir, then.
My name is Keith Slyman. I'm a resident of Swamp Road, and I'm speaking on behalf of some other residents who would request that you reconsider the interpretation by the zoning office on June 7th regarding the non-conforming activities at 18154 Swamp Road. On April 21st of 2005, the Ascension Parish approved the neighborhood business overlay zone on Swamp Road. Those businesses that existed at the time were exempt from the provisions of that overlay, but new businesses we were led to believe would have to conform to it in accordance with the Ascension Parish Development Code and its Table A. In June 2005, Cowboy Steel, a company that was located at 18154 Swamp Road, closed its operations and moved back to its home office in Shreveport. That site remained dormant for almost 8 months until March of 2006, when it was announced that XL Corporation had purchased Bronco Fabrication and was making plans to set up operations on the site formerly occupied by Cowboy, and did indeed enter into a lease with Cowboy for that site. Heavy industrial use such as pipe fabrication is not allowed under Table A of the Development Code. And we can only surmise that Bronco sought a method to operate at that facility by invoking Section 17-135 of the Development Code that would grant them permission to do work if it could be proven that the site did not become and remain vacant for a period of 180 days. On May 16th, they submitted a request to the zoning official, and on June 7th were provided an interpretation that the 180-day period has not lapsed and that the intended use would be permitted under non-conforming use. It's our contention that Cowboy it's our contention that the allegation that Cowboy continued to do its work is an error, that XL and Bronco should not be allowed to continue their non-conforming activities. And I appreciate the opportunity to present our evidence and to dispute theirs. Okay. Item 1, there were affidavits presented to the zoning office explaining the business impact of this to the parish. And while that may be good news to the parish treasurer, it's not germane to this argument. It does not prove anything as to the continued or non-continued business activities of Cowboy Steel. 130 residents of Swamp Road have signed a petition that states there has been no business or heavy industrial use or other such activity at the site since June 2005, a period of more than 6 months. Bronco has presented only the testimony of Mr. Bobby Booty in conflict with that. The power at the site was shut off on August the 5th. Mr. Bobby Booty, in his sworn affidavit, he was the fabrication manager of Cowboy Steel, acknowledges that the power was shut off on August 5th. In his affidavit, he states, although electrical power to the property was involuntarily turned off due to non-payment of the bill in August 2005, it was later restored by a third party that had credit with the utility company. Mr. Booty admits that the power was turned off because they didn't pay the bill. And we learned that the third party that had the power turned back on was Henderson Auctions, who was engaged to conduct an auction at that site. And they had the power turned back off when they were through with their activities there. On July 15th, a sheriff's deputy of Ascension Parish attempted to serve a citation to judgment debtor to Cowboy Steel. He failed to do so, noting Cowboy Steel is closed. Mr. Booty, in his affidavit, states that, quote, it is likely that Cowboy's employees were at lunch at that time, unquote. We trust that a deputy sheriff of this parish knows the difference between a business closed for lunch and a business that has closed its business. And we would like to at least note this date, July 15th, as the last date that they could possibly have been in business. On August 15th, Henderson Auction advertised a public liquidation auction of Cowboy's assets at the Swamp Road site. The brochure reads, auctioneer's note, the owners of Cowboy Contracting Company have decided to close the Baton Rouge facility and will be selling all equipment and inventory. Everything positively sells regardless of price. Real estate will sell subject to owner's confirmation. These people were closing. They announced the closing. Mr. Booty claims that not everything was sold and that they continued to do business with what was left. A payroll register of 4 Beard employees was provided as proof that the work was conducted at the Swamp Road site. It's my understanding that Cowboy Steel was or is owned by Beard, but this payroll register in no way proves that the work was done for Cowboy, nor does it prove that work was done at the site. Mr. Booty provided 3 unsigned shipping tickets as evidence of continued business activities. I'm going to address each of these individually, but I'm going to submit as a whole an unsigned shipping ticket is no proof that a shipment was made, that a shipment was received, nor does it in any way prove the origin of the shipment, and that's the question here. Was anything shipped from Swamp Road? The first shipping ticket was made to the Chimes, dated October 10th, 2005. In his sworn affidavit, Mr. Booty claims that materials were shipped there I contacted Mr. John D'Antoni, one of the owners of the Chimes Restaurant, and asked him about this. He was unable to appear today, but he has provided this affidavit, and he states, I did not receive any materials from Cowboy Steel in October 2005. My last communication from Cowboy Steel Company in Prairieville, Louisiana was a letter dated May 31st, 2005. I went to the Swamp Road Cowboy Steel Company fabrication facility in June 2005 to try to get the material still owed to me, but was unable to contact anyone because they were closed. I tried to contact Cowboy Steel via their phone number listed here numerous times, but no one answered the phone. And I have the last letter that was presented to Mr. D'Antoni, and their phone number at the bottom is scratched out with their new Shreveport phone number. In a sworn affidavit, Mr. Booty claims that materials were shipped to the Bossier Parish Community College on or about October 28th and provides an unsigned shipping ticket dated such as evidence. I contacted Mr. Clay Mitchell, president of Shreveland Construction, that did the work at the Bossier Parish Community College, and he's provided several pieces of information. His cover letter says, here is the latest material delivery ticket we received from Cowboy Steel. His delivery ticket does indeed show a shipment from Cowboy Steel, but it is signed and dated October 28, 2004, not 2005. He also provides his copy of the same shipping ticket that Mr. Booty provided as evidence. And I'd like you to note, Mr. Booty's claims October 28, 2005. That provided by Mr. Mitchell is 2004. It's the same document, but the dates are different. That provided by Mr. Booty claims it was shipped by their truck. That provided by Mr. Mitchell claims it was shipped by Dallas Mavis Trucking Company. And I've shown you that shipping receipt here. I also show you that the document presented by Mr. Booty is not signed. That provided by Mr. Mitchell has some annotation on it. This is the one that was received in 2004, not 2005. Mr. Booty's document, the date's different. I can only allow you to judge. I can't judge. In a sworn affidavit, Bobby Booty claims that materials were shipped to the Ringo School on or about November 21st, 2005, and provides an unsigned shipping ticket dated as such. And I present this here. I contacted Mr. David Walker of Walker Construction that did the work at the Ringo School. And in his letter, he states, this letter is in response to your letter dated July 31st, 2006 regarding a shipping ticket from Cowboy Steel dated November 21st, 2005 to our job site at Ringo K-12 School. Our records indicate we did not receive these materials. Our last record of shipment of materials by Cowboy Steel to our job site is dated November 19, 2004. Maybe Mr. Booty got his dates wrong, but to be off by a whole year, sir, ma'am. He also says that the job was substantially completed prior to November 19, 2005. We submit that the evidence supported to the claim that Cowboy Steel was closed is insufficient because it is either irrelevant to the issue at hand, that it does not constitute proof, or that the validity of the documentation provided can be called in question. We feel that we have successfully refuted the information provided by XL and Bronco, provided our own evidence that Cowboy Steel was closed for more than 180 days before Bronco began their activities at that site. In the absence of proof on their part, in light of that which we have presented, we respectfully request that the Board of Adjustments reverse the June 7th interpretation by the zoning office that activities had not ceased for more than 180 days. We request that the Board of Adjustments declare that Section 17-135 nonconforming uses be enforced, that the Board of Adjustments proclaim that the site at 18154...
Sir, wrap it up because you're 10 minutes
ago. Revert to the control of neighborhood zoning overlay and direct that any non-conforming use of this property per Table 1 immediately cease and desist. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, could I see the Silman exhibits item K and subsequent? My packet is incomplete. Well, I just K and, because I only have part of K and L. Right.
So they've got their-
It's in the back. I just don't have it.
Excuse me? No, I have it.
No, I have everything too. Thank you, ma'am.
I know. I'm missing this page.
Zooming
There's
exhibit
Kale.
L.
Yeah.
Mine did not show this, but I've got the packet here. This will work. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Does everybody else have all of that?
Yes. You can ask the question now if you'd like.
Okay, I'd like to ask, you presented a letter by Walker Construction Company, and in that letter it states that the certificate of substantial completion for this project was recorded in Bienville Parish on October 7th. In addition, a clear lien certificate was also issued and recorded on November 28, 2005. Do you have either one of those?
No, sir.
A copy of either one of those that was issued in Bienville Parish?
No, sir, we do not.
You do not? Okay.
We requested them but did not receive them.
Okay, you didn't receive them at this time, so
No,
you're
sir.
still waiting on that to come in or something? Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir, apologize. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Troy Charpentier, and I represent Bronco in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're here about, as Mr. Slyman explained, is whether or not you are to overturn Mr. Brock's decision. He reviewed the situation and found that Bronco was, in fact, continuing a non-conforming use at the site. First of all, let me talk a little bit about where Bronco is and what it does. As you can see here, Bronco is located at the end of Swamp Road amongst these other commercial operations. They employ approximately 40 people, and they engage in pipe fabrication there at the location. This is similar to, although not exactly like, what Cowboy Steel was doing. Cowboy Steel actually had a steel fabrication plant there. It was a much noisier operation. All of the work was done, or a lot of the work was done outside. Here, Bronco is doing all of its work on the indoors, and that will greatly reduce the amount of noise that is carried out. If you will look at the packet that you were just handed, you will see the exhibits 6, 7, and 8 show some of the work that is carried on there by Bronco. We contend that this would fall outside of the heavy industrial use that the landowners are arguing. Instead, we believe that, as allowed by the code, light manufacturing is what Bronco is engaging in, and that is allowed under the business park zone. But what Mr. Brock found was that this matter was a situation where Bronco was simply continuing the use which Cowboy had carried on before. Now, the key here is under Section 135 of the code, in order for you to find that Bronco can no longer carry this out, you have to find that commercial operations were discontinued for a period of 180 days. No one is arguing that Cowboy continued to do exactly what it had done for years on this property during that 180-day period. What we are arguing is that they did carry on commercial operations. Part of Cowboy's operations was to store materials that it fabricated and that it received from other parties, take those materials from Prairieville to various locations in the state and incorporate those into buildings. You will hear from Mr. Booty and from one of the truck drivers that even after the power was turned off and even after the auction in October of 2005, they continued to do those activities. Now, one of the questions is, when does the 180-day period begin in this case? Bronco began its operations on the property after receiving its occupancy certificate on March the 23rd. If you calculate 180 days back from there, it would be September the 25th. What you're going to hear from both Mr. Booty and what you've seen in his affidavit is that they were conducting operations in terms of going there, picking up materials that were stored there. As Mr. Dalton said earlier, commercial operations don't only mean one thing. They were storing materials on the property and bringing them to other jobs and incorporating them into those jobs during September, October, and November. The truck driver will tell you that he remembers it was during that time frame because he remembers it was after Hurricane Katrina. He was fighting traffic problems here in Baton Rouge and also in getting down to the Houma area at a school that they were constructing down in Bayou Blue to incorporate those materials. Now, Mr. Slyman has raised some arguments about the materials that were submitted on behalf of, in Mr. Booty's affidavit. Excuse me. First of all, as to the chimes, there's no reason why Mr. D'Antoni would know that any materials were delivered to the job site, since what Mr. Booty is going to tell you is that they were delivering them to craftsmen who were there on behalf of Cowboy to install those. So Mr. D'Antoni wouldn't be there signing a slip. That's why Mr. Slyman asked for signed delivery tickets. If you look at the exhibits that were submitted by Mr. Booty, you will see that they were delivered to Cowboy's employees on that job site. As to the Bossier Parish job, yes, in fact, these materials were first delivered to the Bossier Parish job in October of 2004. There's no disputing that. However, those materials sat on the job for quite some time before it was time for them to be installed. When they got ready to install them, they found that they had been misfabricated. A call was made to Cowboy. The materials were picked up, brought back, refabricated. They were then brought back in October 2005 and installed in the job. That is the reason for the discrepancy between the October 2004 ticket and the October 2005. Again, when they were delivered in October 2005, Cowboy's workers were there. They took delivery of the product versus the owner. The Ringo School, the discrepancy there is that the items that are listed in the shipping ticket that Mr. Booty, we attached to Mr. Booty's affidavit, were punch list items. These items were put into the job after substantial completion because they were obviously punch list items. These were things that had to be finished up towards the end of the job. As you can see, Mr. Booty's invoice is towards the end of November. As this gentleman told Mr. Slyman, the job was finished in about the end of November. We don't believe that the people here saying that they didn't see commercial operations on the property are lying. There definitely was a decrease in the intensity of the use of the property. There's no doubt about that. But what has not been proven is that the property was not being used for commercial operations during that time period. And you're going to hear two gentlemen here who will tell you that all during this time, from September, October, and November of 2005, they were in fact using this property. The property was never vacant. You're going to hear some gentlemen speak, and they will tell you that when Bronco came to move into the property, we had to have Cowboy move some of its stuff out. So the idea that the property was ever vacant, I don't know that they've alleged that. It certainly was not. And the commercial operations continued well into November of 2005. One interesting fact here is when Bronco got ready to utilize this property, it applied for an occupancy permit. Now, the Development Code, Section 359, says before an occupancy permit is issued, the person issuing the permit is supposed to determine that the use proposed by the applicant is within the guidelines of the Development Code. My client did what was legally required. They came in, they applied for an occupancy permit, they got that occupancy permit. Based on that occupancy permit, they've now spent almost $400,000 in improvements to this property. You will hear some of the other business owners that will tell you those improvements have drastically decreased the amount of noise from the property, and it's also as a result of the type of tools that we use that are different from Cowboy. The fact of the matter is they fit well within the adjacent uses along Swamp Road. Yes, there is some residential back here, but if you look along here, you've got K-Tech, which is a manufacturing facility, Chambers Construction, another general contractor, Roofing Solutions that just moved in, a roofing company, Coastal Bridge Works, Ram Fab, another fabrication shop, industrial coating contractors, Ready Arc, which is a company that sells and repairs welding machines, is right next to Bronco. So it's not like the use that is proposed here is out of character with the use of the rest of the neighborhood, and it's not like my client didn't do what it was supposed to do under the code, which was apply for an occupancy permit. It was given that occupancy permit, has spent a great deal of money, and we believe we've shown that Cowboy carried on its activities throughout September, October, and November of 2005, which would put us well within the 180-day period. I stand ready to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. You're out of time anyhow.
All right.
At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public. I want to go ahead and get everybody in. Now, understand, these gentlemen had 10 minutes apiece. I'm only going to give the rest of you 3 minutes and a 5-minute rebuttal, okay? So if you want to speak on before or against this, the request here, I want you to sign in and approach the podium. And you can form a line, and Ms. June will call your name. Now, with this noted, anybody that doesn't sign up will not be called. Everybody has signed in that's going to speak tonight. I want to remind you again, you have 3 minutes, and I will be timing. Thanks, sir. As soon as Ms. June gets back, announce the first one, please.
Terry?
Terry, just first name Terry, or
I think so.
we have a Terry? Obviously not.
The next one, Bobby?
They're just signing their first names?
Bobby Booty?
Bobby Booty? Bobby Booty?
Who was first? I think I was first. What's your name? Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts. Yeah, Dave Roberts.
Dave Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I am the CEO and president of Excel. Our office is located at 17747 Airline Highway in Prairieville. We're an industrial engineering, construction, maintenance company with several offices around the country. The owners of Excel, I'm one of them, and the other ones are represented here tonight as well. When we started looking at trying to expand our business, as always, because we've been a long-standing resident of Ascension Parish, we moved to Ascension Parish from East Baton Rouge Parish in approximately 1992 to our location on Airline Highway. When we started thinking about expanding our business into the pipe fabrication operation, of course we looked to Ascension Parish first because a number of our employees live in Ascension Parish and it's been a good location for us. And we discovered this property on Swamp Road that we're talking about here tonight. And it made a lot of good sense to us from a business standpoint. It's convenient to our office. It's right around the corner from our office on Airline Highway. We have made a sizable investment in the property. As been discussed here, we first applied for an occupancy permit, which we were issued. At that time, we were out negotiating contracts for pipe fabrication. We spent something over $400,000 on the property. A large amount of that money has been on the exterior of the property. And I think that even the residents here that drive past the property every day will admit that it looks much, much better than it did before we got involved in it. We've landscaped it. We're continuing to landscape it. We had some landscaping done last week. And if you have seen our location on Airline Highway, if you've driven by it we're across the street from All-Star Ford. We keep a nice, clean office location there. We're expanding that location as well. So we like to be good citizens. We don't like to be here tonight before you arguing about this zoning situation. But we would hope that you'd listen to all the evidence here. We've made a sizable investment in the property. We've got contracts that are actually on hold. I was talking to some of the guys a while ago. We're running out of work. We'd like to get this deal cleared up once and for all so we can pursue business in the area. We have about 35 employees that are working at the Swamp Road location. And again, I'd just like to thank the board and look forward to a fair hearing. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Tim?
Your name, sir?
Tim Pruitt. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm the manager of the Bronco Fabrication Facility on Swamp Road. I've been an employee for Bronco for over 16 years. As was mentioned earlier by Mr. Charpentier, we employ approximately 30 to 40 people at that location. Fabricating piping, process piping for use in the industrial market in the local plants in this facility, in this area, and up and down this Mississippi River corridor. Our uses of the building, as mentioned, will differ, especially on the noise level from what was there prior. Some of the uses will coincide along with what was going on there as far as welding and burning and shipping materials in and out. As also mentioned, we started the process on March the 23rd once our permit was issued, remodeling the building, fixing up the structure, refacing the existing building, putting fencing up, trying to make the place better and more desirable looking, plus also for us to entertain our clients and bring them in to show them a facility that would better us in providing a more quality product and also allow us a larger area to fabricate pipe over what we have been doing over the last 20 years. As also was mentioned, we did spend a good bit of money on the place and are still trying to upgrade the facility, but we feel we definitely want to be neighborly, and we've tried to be that way. And along with the other businesses in the area, we do a lot of business between our businesses with PMW and with Ram Fab, and then down the street with K-Tech, and also with some of the others being Ready Arc. And we appreciate the opportunity to come out tonight. And just to reiterate before my 3 minutes is up, we are trying to maintain most of our work inside that facility. I know some people have expressed the noise level when Cowboy Steel was there and operations going on that was creating a lot of noise, but we are maintaining the work inside that facility instead of on the outside, with the outside being used for storage and material laid down, whether it's raw product before it comes out the front door or the finished product when it comes out. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and appreciate a fair ruling on this.
Thank you, sir.
Bobby?
My name is Bobby Booty. I'm fabrication manager. I was fabrication manager for Cowboy Steel Fabrication and Erection Company, located at Swamp Road. My duties there were to coordinate the purchasing and staging of raw steel materials, prefabricated items such as joists and deck that were buyout items, we called them. Fabrication of structural steel, delivery of the fabricated steel joist deck, equipment, dunnage, tools, and temporary storage buildings to various construction sites. And that's kind of what my duties were there. We started at the Prairieville site. I started there around the mid to early 90s. I transferred from Bingle Industries, which took over United Steel, which was another steel fabricator there. Bingle Industries came in, took over United Steel. Then in about 1998, Cowboy Steel came in and took over Bingle Industries. So it was just a perpetual business thing going on there. As regards to the affidavits, in my statement earlier, on about October 10th, we shipped from Prairieville location some items, laid down items in the yard, fabricated handrails to the Chimes restaurant. The folks that would have received these out there would not have signed shipping tickets. They were field erectors that worked for Cowboy Steel. They never signed shipping tickets for that or any other job. On about October 28th, and Mr. Clay Mitchell that was mentioned early called me himself. They owed us some money on that job, and he wouldn't pay it to me because there were some wall rails and stuff out there on the job that were wrong due to their drawings, but they were still wrong. And so I went and picked the rails up, the same rails that we were in question earlier on. That's why the shipping tickets are identical. I picked those rails up, repaired some of them, which the wall rail brackets weren't located in the wrong spot. I repaired some of them, replaced some of them with the material from the Prairieville facility, piping and handrail brackets that were stored at Prairieville facility. And then we returned them to the Bossier Parish Community College via two of my employees that took them up there. On or about, and so they wouldn't have signed for another shipping ticket. We were just returning the same things to the job that we had gotten off there and repaired. And on about November 21st, 2005, we shipped some wall rails and some sink rail brackets back out to the Ringgold School, which were punch list items. It was after substantial completion of the job because they were on the punch list. We were done with all the heavy steel and all the buildings, so it was after substantial completion.
Thank you, sir. Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Darrell Oliver.
My name is Doyle Oliver. I worked as a truck driver for Cowboy Steel beginning in July 2005. I hauled materials and equipment from the Prairieville location to job sites in late 2005. In late September 2005, I hauled items to a job in Bayou Blue. And the reason I know it was in late September because the hurricane had came and things were shut down there earlier at the end of August. And so it was a couple of weeks after that before I started carrying stuff back in there, like bridge timbers for making, building roads up in where they drive their SkyTrack equipment and stuff on. And then in October 5, I hauled from Prairieville to a job at a Chimes restaurant they were making. I went over to the Prairieville location, picked up a trailer that had steel that they told me were handrails that I hauled over to Chimes, and I picked up some more later on. It was in October or either the 1st of November, going to a school in Ringgold. And I never had tickets when I picked this stuff up. It was all through telephone. I would carry them to other Cowboy representatives there on the job site. I'd have like their name. I'd call them and make contact with them when I was coming in, or they would tell me what time to come in to them, and I would deliver them in there to the job site and unload. And I never had nothing to, for a ticket to be signed or anything. And like I say, it was I started work there in July of 2005 and hauled out of that Prairieville office until shortly after the auction they had there. And that's about all I've got on it.
Thanks, sir.
Monica Boudreaux.
My name is Monica Boudreaux. I'm the rental coordinator at Ready York, which is located right on the side of Bronco. The noise is a lot less, and the facilities are improving daily. And that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Ronnie Arsenault.
Hello again, my name's Ronnie Arsenault. I am the owner of Ram Fabricators, which is just down the street or up the street from Bronco Fabrications. I've had the pleasure of doing business with the XL Group for many years before they occupied the facility on Swamp Road, and it's been a pleasure. They're a great company to work with. I think they're a great asset to Ascension Parish. I think if you ride in front of Airline Highway where their XL facility is across from All-Star Chevrolet, excuse me, just take a look at how they keep their facilities. It's really a beautiful place and again, an asset to Ascension Parish. And I think that you'll find the same with Bronco. They've improved the place so much. It's really looking nice. They've cleaned everything up. They have been landscaping. I was familiar with Cowboy Steel, did business with Cowboy Steel as well. I could actually hear Cowboy Steel moving beams around from time to time. It was very noisy. At times, not all the time. I actually have food with beams in my place as well. Not on the scale that Cowboy did, but the pipe, and again, they have closing the facility. I think they'll be doing a lot of their work inside besides the shipping and getting things outside to load trucks with. But most of their work looks like it'll be inside, the welding and burning of such. And I just don't think we'll see the noise for sure. I don't think the neighbors would have anything to worry about with that. But again, the place is greatly improved, and I think that they'll find that Bronco Fabrication will be a very likable neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not sure of the first name. It's a Dixon.
Yes, Mac Dixon. I own Portable Machine Works, which is right across the street from Ronnie. I agree with what Ronnie says completely. The place is improved 100%. It looks great down there. Everything can be done inside. Look like to me, and the noise level will be a lot less. But look like they're going to be great neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Pittman.
I'm Paul Pittman. I'm the controller for K-Tech. K-Tech is a manufacturing company right at the end of Swamp Road next to Old Perkins. We're a few lots down from where Bronco is. We manufacture level measurement equipment for liquids and solids. We sell worldwide, and I just wanted to let you know that we're there.
Thank you, sir.
Sherry Slyman.
Hi, I'm Sherry Slyman. I have a couple of points to make, just listening to the different comments. Section 135, Section 17-135 of the Code under nonconforming uses says that when you're in nonconformance, you can only improve 50% of the assessed value. We've just heard they've improved over $400,000. And according to some information that we had been provided, the 2005 assessed value of the buildings are, one building is $105,000 and the other is $33,000 for a total of $138,000. Therefore, they can only improve up to $69,000, half of the assessed value. They've gone way above and beyond that. That's point one. Point two, we started back in 2002 working with the residents and the other business owners down in that area to enact an overlay zone, and that's how we got the business park overlay zone in that area. And it was done in 2003, I believe is when it was signed and enforced. And the business park overlay is not for industrial fabrication. And I have some pictures. I'm not sure how to use this. Does it just come on? Okay. Here, can you see that? This is I'm not sure if this is what kind of equipment this is, but you can see some of the heavy equipment that they use at this facility. Semi-truck, backhoe, semi-truck. There's another one behind it. This one, I guess, is ready to be loaded. There's a tractor or a trailer back here that's already loaded with pipe. And I took a picture. This is not even a semi-truck coming down Swamp Road. Now, I took this from our driveway. You can see how narrow Swamp Road is and how these big trucks affect the traffic on our little road. They have improved the look of the property, but if you spend $400,000, you can do a lot. And those are my 3 points I wanted to make. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Richard Lee Laurent.
Good evening. My name is Richard Laurent. My wife and I, Janice, have been residents on Swamp Road for the past 26 years. We've seen a lot of activity go on in that site. U.S. Steel and Bengal and Cowboy Steel and all those. We were really relieved when Cowboy Steel shut down their operation. We thought we were finally through with that situation down there. My wife and I are both retired. We travel the north end of Swamp Road frequently. I keep a horse in a pasture just across the road from there, and I'm down there at least once or twice a day. I cannot tell you that I observed any activity during that 180-day period there, except for the auction company that came in and did some work there. I observed no foot traffic. The gates were locked all the time. I didn't see any trucks coming in and out of there hauling equipment. Like I say, I travel that road various times of the day during the day, and my wife and I both. And I can't tell you that there was any activity going on there at that time. That being said, I have some other comments that I'd like to address, and I'm aware that this board probably cannot help to solve some of these problems. I'm concerned and interested in how this permit was issued and why it was issued without any investigation into the zoning ordinances and the type of manufacturing and stuff that was going on and is going to be going on at that location. I think if this board could possibly make some recommendations or what to the parish to reconsider some of the permit issuing, we were given some information during this period that permits had not been issued, that a temporary permit had been issued to allow cleanup only on the site. Later on, we found out the permit had been issued the month before the occupancy permit had been issued. All this information was given to residents as they questioned parish officials on this in this matter. I'm concerned as to how easy it is in the parish to get a permit. You put your fee down and give it to the lady at the desk and she signs your permit. It doesn't seem like it takes a whole lot to get a permit.
That's it, sir. Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Milton Cluart Jr.
My name is Milton Clyde Jr. and I live on Swamp Road. One of the gentlemen stated earlier that they used it as a laydown area at that time of speaking. Well, my question is that the way Excel operates? And then another gentleman stated that they will repair the product that was done wrong. Well, if they was using that as a laydown area, where did they repair that? Did they haul it 2 or 3 different times for 2 or 3 different places and then decide to ship it from one place to the other place and use the Swamp Road facility as only a lay-down area. That they were not conducting business there. That place was shut down for quite some time. The gates were locked. The grass was growing wild. We passed by it every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Gerald Fontenot.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the council representative. My name is Cheryl Fontenot, and I represent the people in District 4. They've been contacting me for several months now about this property. When we first came here tonight, you said you wouldn't allow a lot of stuff, yet we heard about how they cleaned up the place, there's no noise. This is not what we hear about. We're here tonight about non-conforming use. This is the first time I met with parish officials on this issue after my constituents called me. I met on April the 18th, and this was my letter back to them by email. Hi, yesterday I met for an hour with Lance Brock, zoning official, and O'Neill Parrington, attorney on the Cowboy Steel property. Not that our attorney, but it was about the Cowboy Steel property. I was told that no permit was issued to Bronco for operating a new business. They will have to comply with the current zoning regulations, which is business park, in order to qualify for a permit to operate. They have been issued a temporary permit to clean up the place. It was told to me that the parish has proved that the electricity was shut off on August the 5th, and that the parish also says that only a temporary electric hookup was permitted on March the 6th. It is their belief that only businesses falling under the business park zoning will be able to be permitted. If there are any remaining questions, they need to be made to Lance Brock, the zoning official who knows the codes. That was my response to my citizens after meeting with the zoning official, Lance Brock, and our attorney, O'Neill Parrington. These citizens are not represented by big lawyers from big corporations, but they do have a voice here tonight, as I am their representative. They have done their own homework. They've got loads of documents. They have proven their case tonight. And I ask you guys to do the right thing. I don't know why they got a permit or how they got a permit, but I was told that they didn't have a permit and then was called back in to administration to find out they had been given an occupancy a month before I met with them. There's some serious discrepancies all along here, but not on their part. These people have done their homework. They have proven to you guys that Cowboy Steel was indeed shut down. And they worked for years to get an overlay passed, which this new council passed in April of '05.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. June? That's it? Okay, you've heard all the testimony tonight. I know we've got some questions. And you can, what we can do is we can direct that question to the particular individual in which you want to ask the particular question to. And we'll call them back up and let them have a minute to answer your question. Okay? Let's do that. Anybody with any questions on the board?
I have one. Actually, I have two. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the meeting that Ms. Fontenot has referred to?
Yes, sir.
Were you party to that meeting?
Yes, sir. And I can tell you what happened. We were not aware that a permit had been issued, neither Lance nor I, and we had not received any information from Cowboy Steel regarding whether the operation had been continued or discontinued, and that's when the situation occurred that they submitted information, and after that. And both parties were asked to submit information to Lance Brock prior to his making a decision on whether the conforming use had continued or not continued.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question for Lance. I'm looking at a document in this binder. That's a letter from you to Joe Wiley, basically saying, if I'm reading it correct, that
Which reference is that?
it's
Page
under
number.
4.
Thank
Did
you.
you at first say that it had been discontinued and then later you changed your mind?
That was before I had any information in front of me to make an interpretation. That was prior to, that was as soon as I found out that a permit was issued, I sent that letter out as soon as I found out, not knowing the whole situation. When I did find out, and when, just what O'Neill explained, whenever we requested information to have to this point, to get to where we are right now, I was given that information from Cowboy Steel, and that's when my interpretation was given.
I don't know what your name is, the lady with the blue collar? Yeah. Now, you work right next door, right? Did you see during July, August, September, October, did you see any activity next door? Yes, ma'am.
Several times Bobby Booty was there because he would stop in at our office, talk to the office manager before going over, which he said he had things to pick up.
Okay. The person who worked as the driver, I don't know what your name is either. Yeah.
All over.
When did your employment with Cowboy Steel end? When did your employment with Cowboy Steel end? You told us that you began in July of '05. When did you stop being an employee of Cowboy Steel in Prairieville?
First part of 2006 anywhere, right? March or April, somewhere in there.
Okay. But you remember distinctly that you were transporting goods from that location at the end of 2005.
Because when I hired them, I don't know how many trailers, it was loaded and sitting there, loaded for me to come.
Can I stop you for just a second? Can I get you to come to the mic, please?
Take a mic to him.
Or take a mic to him. That's okay. I'll have him come up. If there's a question directed to him, I'll have him come up.
My questions to you are, is Cowboy Steel, was that your only employment towards the end of 2005, or were you working for other companies at the same time? Or
I
that
was
your-
working for Art Crete there in Natchitoches, Louisiana, where I'm from. And I had a good friend here that lived here, Joe O'Banion, called me, told me they needed a truck driver at Cowboy Steel. They didn't have one. And I told him, I said, Joe, I've already got a job. I'm working here. And he called me a couple of weeks later. He said, man, we need you bad to come down here. And so that's how I wound up coming down and going to work at Cowboy Steel.
Okay, so you were employed from them from July of '05 to
From
at
July
least January of '06.
05.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, can I ask him?
Yes.
I don't want to
Sir?
interrupt you. but
Sir.
No,
while
I'm
he's-
finished with him.
Yeah, while he's up there, could I ask him a
Right.
question?
He has a question directed towards
Okay.
him.
I have a problem with
That's
my
okay.
hearing.
That's okay,
That's
sir.
okay, and I may try to talk a little bit louder since you said that. But you said that you picked up, because, and you knew the timeline because of Hurricane Katrina, and it was after that, and you said that in October, on or about October, you picked up some pipe there or whatever on Swamp Road, some articles of construction materials, and you delivered them in Bossier Parish to the Shreveland or Ringo, which one? It was one of them.
Right, it was Ringo School. They were working a job out there. I don't know
Okay,
exactly.
so it was the Ringo one?
Right.
Okay, so you didn't deliver it to the Shreveland in Bossier City, that other one?
Do what?
There was another shipment made to Bossier Parish Community College. Did you also take those there?
You know,
That they have said were
if I
shipped
was
back?
to tell you I did, I'd be,
Okay.
I'm not sure whether I went there
That's
or
okay.
not, but there
That's
was 3 or 4 places in
But
Bossier.
you did go to Ringo.
I did go to Ringo.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Any other questions directed to individuals out in the audience?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Go ahead, Mr. Cox.
The first one I have is for Mr. Bobby Booty. Where's Mr. Booty?
There. Let him come to the.
Hi. Mr. Booty.
Yes, sir.
In your affidavit dated the 15th day of May 2006, you stated on paragraph 9, 10, and 11, you stated that the Cowboy shipped from the property handrails to Ringo, also to Shreve Land Construction, some material handrails, and to the Chimes location in Baton Rouge. That's correct?
That's correct.
In each one of those, you said that for which it was paid the contract amount. Do you know for a fact it was paid those contract amounts, or do you have records of that?
Yes, when I say we were paid the contract amount, that meant that it was being paid for, we were contracted to do a job for them, and that was part of that contract.
Okay.
I didn't mean that we specifically got paid for that delivery of handrails. I meant that the contract, it might have been a contract for the whole job, for the structural steel, the stairs, the handrails, the whole 9 yards, but it was a contract and we were being paid for it.
Okay. Thank you. I had one more.
Mr. Cox has another question.
And this one is, and I forget the gentleman's name. Not for this gentleman.
Are you done with me?
Yeah, we're done with you. Thank you, sir.
Excel?
Yes, sir.
You said that you've made substantial improvements there?
Yes, sir, we have.
And you said I don't know the exact amount you said a while ago. I heard 400,000. I'm not sure what came out of your
Approximately
mouth.
400,000. A
Okay.
large part of that was we replaced a lot of metal on the outside of the building. We didn't expand the building, but the building had some old galvanized metal on the outside, tin, siding. We replaced all that, most of that on the sides, limestone, fencing, that sort of stuff.
Okay. And please just stay with me for just a minute because I'm going to ask legal counsel a question here. But under the non-conforming use, it says in item B of section 17-135, a building that contains a non-conforming use may not be reconstructed or structurally altered in excess of 50%. Does that constitute being reconstructed or altered?
I don't have to send somebody out there to look at it. I mean, I'm not a.
If he's saying that he didn't increase the square footage, or he just
That's
put a
not my
facade on the front,
interpretation.
or-
That's not my interpretation.
Okay.
Part of the monies were spent on limestone. We limestone the whole parking lot.
Okay.
It's a lay-down area, so we put limestone. The skin on the building was galvanized type material. It was rusted. It had been there a long time. It didn't look presentable, so that was one of the first things we wanted to do was make the building look better, be a better neighbor. And as you've heard before me, we bring clients in there. We've had clients in there this week, so we want the place to look nice and look presentable. But a lot of the work was done to the facade on the building. To the fence was $25,000. Put a new fence around it. We tore the old fence down; it was falling down, and put a new fence up. That kind of thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other further questions? No one have any further questions? Okay. Close public hearing.
So moved.
Public hearing is now closed. Second. Any further questions by this board or any? You're correct. Boy, I'm getting rid of that rebuttal thing. I don't know. Just have a bad habit, sir. Go ahead, sir. You got a chance to rebut. You got 5 minutes.
How do you prove that something didn't happen? That's the position I find myself in. I really feel that what should have happened here is that Bronco should have come to this board and asked for the variance, and that the burden of proof should have been on them at this point, not on us. However, we welcome the challenge. They stated that they're a good neighbor. That's not mentioned in the code. They stated that they're not noisy. They are. They're still noisy. Early in the morning, we're wakened. I didn't bring that up because I didn't think it was germane to the conversation, but since they did, I feel I have to comment on it. They've talked about the investment they've made. That's not mentioned in the code. They've talked about the appearance. It's not mentioned in the code. This is simply about proving that business activities continued. I do not feel they proved that. I question the shipping ticket. They reshipped the same exact materials on the same exact day. October 24th, 2004, they shipped them, and doggone if they didn't ship the exact same thing on October the 28th, 2004. I'm sorry, that's too much of a coincidence for me to believe that that's a discrepancy in the shipping tickets. It's tough to dispute a claim that this person delivered to that person in the same company. I would think there'd have to be some kind of paper trail. They did not produce that. Mr. D'Antoni may not have personally received the items, although I know he's a hands-on person, and when he says he didn't receive any materials, I believe him. But I also think that if he received materials, he'd have paid for them. I'd like to see those invoices. Mr. Cox touched on that. I've not seen any invoices for materials that were paid for late at that time. I think any activity that was witnessed after Hurricane Katrina was by Henderson Auction. They moved in there. The auction was set up. It was actually scheduled for the day after Katrina. Obviously, they didn't do that, and it was finally held in October, and they inhabited to the site. There was activity there, but it was by Henderson Auction until late December when they completed the auction and they moved out. I can't prove what didn't happen, but I certainly feel that I've done my best to disprove their claims and to discredit their evidence, and I submit that they did not meet the burden of proof, which is where it really belongs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. We have any further questions? Now we can close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Public hearing is now closed, and I apologize for that. Whoever brought that up.
The lady in the green back.
Ah, the lady in the green. Does this board have any discussion they would like to discuss, or is there any questions they need to direct?
I have discussion, and I've heard a lot of evidence and seen a lot of evidence. But when I wrote out a timeline, from giving Cowboy the date of the auction, if that was the last day, of their business, which a couple of other dates earlier, but even if you give them 10/13 to the time they signed a lease at 3/21/06, that's right at 180 days. And in between that time, all the evidence that we have, like no tickets are signed. You have payroll for 3 people, but it doesn't show a location, as far as with a name or location of where these individuals are, and you got some people working overtime. So I would think if there was 3 or 4 people with a few working overtime that at that location, that there would be some signs of life at the building. One light's on,
Well, then I have a question for you, and like I said, this is a discussion. So you say the timeline you figured out is right up to 180 days.
I did 180.
Okay. Well, the issue here tonight, and everybody, this is directed to everybody. The issue here tonight is 180 days. We got to be satisfied that they were out of business, to use that term, or not performing any duties on that job site for 180 days. Okay. Now, if that's the case, then that's fine. Anything other than that, we're not here to determine. Okay. Whether or not they had the proper receipts. That would have shown that they were in business, and it would have been a helpful hand. But the judgment is to you now, is have they satisfied or proven themselves that they've been there within 180 days. So do we have a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, there's further discussion.
Okay.
Again, I refer to legal counsel that the burden of proof of termination for non-conforming use status by abandonment or discontinuance is only party urging the termination. So while we've heard a lot of evidence, and I mean we've heard a lot of evidence here tonight.
In red.
I do not have the wisdom of Solomon. I wish I did. But we've had people from adjacent business testify that there's been business activities there. We've had a lot of people make basically sworn testimony, pro and con. So, personally, I don't think that the case has been proved that it was abandoned or discontinued. This is discussion. I'm not making a motion telling you what I'm thinking.
Okay.
This is a difficult decision to make because there's conflicting evidence. It's my considered opinion that on a subject of this magnitude and this type of thing, that where there's reasonable doubt, the benefit should go to the landowner to permit reasonable use of the land of which they have been doing previously. End of my dissertation.
Any further thoughts? I mean, if you got them, let's get them out. 'Cause like always, I want everybody to make an honest and educated decision.
Well, I think that the prior group that was asking us for a decision didn't give us any lease agreements, didn't give us any payroll records, didn't give us anything to show they were in operation.
Correct.
And this group has provided us exactly why we didn't rule for the other group. So I'm inclined to say that the case wasn't proved that they weren't out of business. And I'm more inclined to say that from what we're sitting here looking at tonight, that I would have to say that, yes, that it should be still allowed.
Okay, is that a form of motion?
Yes, that's in the form of a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'm going to second that motion with a comment, please. I'm going to second the motion and just reiterate that I do not feel that that there has been sufficient proof given to me to show that they were out of business. I just don't see it. There's some records that they could have provided me that weren't provided. I asked a couple of questions. We've had a lot of testimony here tonight by people who say that they did do business there. The truck driver picked things up, different things of that nature. Bobby Booty's testimony that they were paid, the different ones. And with that being said, I just don't think the other side of this has proven that, so I will second that motion.
And I want to make one further comment. I do agree with you. It is a horrible burden to have to prove that something did not occur. And just like what Mr. Acosta went through in the other motion, it's an uphill battle all the way. And the problem is that this was so close in days and in the timeline that it's hard for us not to agree that it hasn't been proved. And I understand your frustration as a homeowner and a resident of that area, but I feel like that I have to say that it wasn't proven.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and seconded by Mr. Bryce Cox that the 180 days was not violated. So therefore, we have any opposition?
Yeah, me.
Okay, one opposition. That's it. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.